This is one where we all go like that bottom area and I hold the window.
Or we're all main gate, and then and you need to scan every one of these rooms, Dress, and then scan this one as well.
Yeah,
all right,
I got it.
There's a shield behind this, which is even better for us. BTK, you're holding this whole hallway from like one of these corners.
The guard dog gameplay.
BTK, careful the lurk on this as well.
Side flank, but BTK Master is waiting for it. He keeps looking over in that direction, but hadn't spotted him.
And then me, Gunner, and Drass, we are making our way to this room. We have to cross in the open of this, but Suppress should be holding it.
I'm about to start scanning left side. Are we good?
You guys ready?
I'm nading this room.
I'm ready.
Careful, don't go in there. I don't see anything in there. I'm holding.
And then we have to clear this whole hallway. There's nothing really to play behind. If there's a guy with a shield, we need to use util, because like we can't just run it in or we'll die. Get a smoke on the crypt. Even if you go down, just plant the decryptor.
It's barricaded.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Break this.
I'm nading.
Are you ready to nade this?
Yeah.
Yeah, break.
Got one.
Good.
Nice.
I'm in. Left is clear. Left is clear.
What's in there? My ping.
Blue zone nade's gonna come out, but we haven't seen Gunner be able to get in and get into a plant just quite yet.
You can't see from that angle. Come to me. Come to me.
Got bomb going down.
You have a Matty, bro?
Yeah, here.
Just play time if you can.
A lot of work there.
We're good, bro. We're good.
Even though Venerated's the one that's going to come up with kills.
Nice.
We got it. We got it, bro. We're good. We're good.
So we want mine as well.
On the right. Come here. How are you losing that? Jesus, that's sad. Get a fucking shit. You need to go get a job, man. You're holding it.
Oh my god.
Welcome back in, everyone. It's day number 2 of the PUBG BLINDSPOT Invitational, and actually the Invitational number 2. Let's welcome back Felix, the amazing analyst, though. How have you been, mate? We had a load of action yesterday, and I think the rule of the thumb is this game has got its claws in deep to us because we're addicted.
Yeah, we just played a couple of TDM rounds as well. I think we had a lot of fun doing that as well. It's the second day, it's the final day as well. Well, it really is coming down to who's going to get that lion's share of the just shy of $7,000 that we have up for grabs. I think it's been an exciting day yesterday. And to be honest, we are expecting a lot from some of these teams coming into the EU Invitational right now.
Well, we might be expecting a lot. They've got loads of money to come, but what we need to expect right now is to bring these two amazing casters. Let's introduce and bring back, though, the amazing Gibson and Whippet. Welcome back, guys. You guys had a little break. You've now got yourself back in. I know you guys are definitely hooked to this game. Whippet, come on, tell me about the time off. How much have you been thinking about PUBG BLINDSPOT?
I'm gonna go. We finished the stream last night, and I had a dream of BLINDSPOT going into. I could not get this game out of my head going into this one. I've been looking forward to diving straight into the games for this one. And the biggest thing for me is we're moving away from best of ones today, straight in the best of threes and a best of 5 grand final. I cannot wait to see how this game plays out within that format.
Well, both of you guys got huge amounts of experience when it comes down to the best of 3 formats, right? So, Gibson, tell me and tell the viewers actually how different it is from a best of 1 scenario where you can kind of get one and done. And if you're already losing the game, it's really hard to claw back. Coming then into today, when actually they've got best of 3. So if they do make mistakes, at least they get the opportunity to try and correct it.
You can't hide in a best of 3 or a best of 5. The best team will always win because you can fluke a best of 1, particularly in a format as short as this, where at most you're going to have 5 rounds in any given game, whereas with a maximum of 15 rounds now in the best of 3s and obviously 25 in the best of 5s, you are going to win if you're the better team. It's as simple as that. Yes, different maps are going to have an impact. Yes, whether or not you start on defense or attack will have an impact as well. But it's as simple as I said. The better teams always win in a best of 3 or a best of 5.
Well, let's remind everyone, though, what have we to expect today? What is the format going to be for these? So yesterday we had the best of 1 scenario where actually every team play every single team as in a best of 1 scenario. Then we basically got ourselves a seed in 1 and a seed in 2. Those seedings, both in the EU or the EMEA region and the NA region, found themselves a bye all the way through to the semi-finals. So Sheila and 10,000 Days was in first place. Sheila came in second, I believe. So they got straight through to a best of 3. But the other team, they've still got to duke it out in the quarterfinals and find out if they're going to be making it through. Now, Felix, we say obviously the best is always going to win. Do you think some of these teams are going to outshine others, or are we going to see 10,000 Days maybe run away with it again? They kind of stole the show a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Super over on the NA Invitational. Now looking back at it, they did have quite the stellar performance, but then again, I think a lot has changed now coming into this day today. As you said, it's a best of 3, so map choice is not going to matter as much. It's not as, I want to say, quote-unquote random in that regard. I think some of these teams probably have prepared a lot coming into this day as well in terms of agent selection, and I think that's going to be the biggest differentiator between yesterday and today. We saw that coming in from Super on the NA Invitational specifically. They have their set loadouts, and I think if anyone's watched that NA Invitational, you surely have written down some of that, of what they've done, right? And if you bring this into the 3 maps that you're going to play today, I think your chances are going to increase massively, and I'm hoping we're going to see that today.
Well, when we get through the best of 3, we've got that best of 5 we saw, and let's have a reminder of what we are playing for, because there is money. Everyone is here to fight for it. Now, total prize pool is $6,750 though, but the lion's share of the prize pool Whippet is going to first and second, so it's so important to get things right as they kick things off today.
You want to get yourself in that grand final position just for that extra bump in prize we're going into. Of course, 750 USD going for teams all the way from 3rd down to 6th, but it's that top 2 spot everyone wants. And well, money is nice, but a little bit of bragging rights as well. Like, say that you're an early champion here at PUBG BLINDSPOT, I think is going to be a very fun one for people to be able to flex on.
Oh, bragging rights. We've not even brought this up yet because we've got the UK potentially versus the Germany. So what's going to be happening for you guys, the viewers? Obviously, we are going to be kicking off one of the 2 very shortly. I believe we are going to sway towards the UK versus Germany, where we're going to get Gargod obviously winning and going his way, taking his team through to the semi-finals. Isn't that right, Felix?
Yeah, look, I'm a little bit worried for my German team, I gotta be honest. As much as I'd like to see them win, I think it's gonna be really tough. A lot of professional esports players on that team, a lot of strategists as well. I mean, starting off with Michael and Flex, some of the most skilled mechanical players you probably have in your region, just generally when it comes to Battle Royale. So I'm excited to see them play, and as I think it's gonna be really tough for some of these variety streamers on the German side, but I mean, there's still hope, you know? There's still hope.
Well, there's always hope. Especially when Gargoyle's going to win. Let's get ourselves, though, into match number 1. Gibson and Whippet, take it away. Let's get in.
Thanks, Mark. And we are kicking things off tonight on Hospital, and this one should be a lot of fun. We're on the A variant of Hospital, which of course changes which sites they're going to be. But Whippet, as they said, it's England versus Germany. Germany usually wins those on penalties, but I think on this one, the English team looks a bit stronger.
If this was anything other than BLINDSPOT, I'd be cheering for the Germans, but this time I'm all in on UK for this one. Gagod's roster was a team that I was very much intrigued to see, and of course, I think there's a little bit of bias support here in our production gallery for that one going into it. I think Mark even repping Michael's jersey as he got into things going into it. But the big thing now, Gibson, is I want to see teams evolve going into this one now. This is, of course, a best of 3, so you need to be able to be on your A game for a little bit longer diving into it. And what lessons have we learned from the performance that we saw yesterday? We're going to be seeing on the defense now, can we see that extension that's been very potent at denying that early entryway, or what will the offense do to clear room by room to get that initial control going out to it? Lineup wise, I'm a massive fan. Gagod's going to bring out that Heinz, able to use that drone through the wall, get a little bit of extra information, and make it easier to clear those rooms step by step. And entryways via lobby, everyone's somewhat stacked up together, but Michael, a little bit alone.
Yeah, and this is what we've seen though. Michael likes to play on his own. He likes using the M4A1, can clear space by himself with the toxic canisters that he has in the back pocket, but I'm looking elsewhere. The blue zone nades being used now by Cappy on the Apex, clearing out space, clearing out that connector which is being held by Smash. Gagod will use the Heinz camera, clears the corridor, and this is what we spoke about, the symbiotic relationship that some of these characters have with each other, but you can't walk into connector. That is a kill box unless you smoke off A. So it's going to be open up that wall, create the line of sight, first engagement, see some damage done onto Paddy, and the first kill goes to Atomical, and the BZ will clear sight.
Second BZ goes out, naturally going to shut down access. What a great use from the Apex there, just denying that zone control. And Paddy's going to try and find this one. Michael, he's going to make a dive through the window, he's going to leave him exposed. He's going to take some damage. A scrappy fight out by Lobby. Michael wins it. M4's good for it. A second one as Gago's going to charge on in with that SMG. And now everything comes down to 2 versus 5. Stacked up in B. Looks for a retake deep inside of A, but they can't find it. Fruital shut down. Fishcrop does get one. Atomical's next to go, but he's on a 4 versus 1. Toxic gas does displace. And the decryptor should go down, eventually recovered. And it's going to be a very difficult one. Don't think Fishcop can get this one locked out. Does find one. No, it's a team kill from Liquid's. Cappy falls. And they got full vision, but it's going to collect one more. 1 versus 2. Winnable position. Cross need to be held. Opening up that angle. Shooting as much as they can through an unreinforced wall. But it's somewhat shooting fish in a barrel. Liquids gets it done. And the offensive side take victory here. Gagod's roster off to a great start here in Hospital.
Yeah, 2 kills for Atomical on that round, but you gotta say that fight that Michael won in the 1v1 on the other side of the map felt pivotal in that one, clearing space and allowing them to fully focus on attacking site from that point on. So, gotta give a lot of credit to them. They win their opening round on attack. There's a little bit of a trend starting there where teams are working out the attacks a little bit better. The lineup Whippet is staying the exact same. For the attackers, for the defenders, it looks the same. Collision was really big yesterday in the first few maps in EMEA, but tapered off a little bit as the day went on. Now, I think that the maps had an impact on it because some maps don't suit the close quarter combat. I think that if you're playing someone like Collision on a map like this, you got to be playing in Connector. You got to be playing somewhere where you know at most you're going to be in a 10 to 15 yard fight.
Even better than that, though, you can act as an anchor for your team. Sit on site, anchor things down. Some extended presence with that deployable shield arriving. And it's going to be the same lineup yet again from Gagod's roster. Both sides, though, opting to use Cappy. Oh, sorry, both choosing to use Apex, I should say, Cappy on that role for Gagod's team. Again, those BC grenades have been incredibly useful for all these rosters. Even if you don't have information, it guarantees a significant portion of map control is going to slide for you. And this is going to be those collision tripwires going down. And this could be very difficult if Michael doesn't spot that laser as he gets that entryway. Initial gas canisters and BC grenades go out towards Connector, looking to find that initial entryway. Seems that they've cleared some barbed wire just outside of the B chassis. Party makes a rotation straight to that back room just behind both these crypts, playing a more fallen back angle. Liquids following the same script as the previous round, using that Carnival Hammer to open up that angle. BZ grenade in retort from it, and a great use of that Heinz camera. They're going to be able to get full information, realizing that B's crypt is going to get watched from a further angle. Party's going to try and hold that one down. There is access from that. BZ grenade should buy some space. Doesn't even find that team damage, and they're going to know that's going to be clear. Liquids, though, aware of that threat as that Heinz camera. Massive information value.
Another team kill, though, as we see them shooting themselves in the foot on the attack. Liquids with the decryptor in hand, getting information on Paddy's position. But will open up the window. Smash Lunatic finds a kill, but I think he just missed. Carnival just missed that hammer and didn't get the window open, but a great position now for the defenders. Playing inside of Zulu now is Alphaton, and Alphaton will get caught out by Liquids, getting us a little bit closer to parity, but Fish Corp will swing for the trade. Deployable shields there. Another team kill. Please start shooting the other team. Atomical. They fall. It's a 3 versus 1. Gagods have virtually no HP. But honestly, it's... I'm going to say it right now. The best player so far for Fish Corp's team has been Atomical.
Atomical has been doing a great job. Friendly fire at every opportunity, it feels like. Gaga does get one, but at this stage, you guys gotta ask the question, is this just gonna be a consolation prize? Just lurking behind that, Tracer's whizzing over him. He's gonna duck crouch, but that doesn't last too much longer. Sustained fire from that P90. Paddy finds that final pick, and we bring ourselves level. We find parity between these teams after 2. Now, of course, going into this one, if you are watching us for the very first time here for PUBG Blind Spot, it is gonna be a first to 3 round basis going into it. That is it. So if you go level 2-2, it becomes a single 1 round shootout within that overtime to get things locked out. Lineup wise, not a significant amount of change though. Fence coming out, bringing those motion sensors, which have been incredibly potent time and time again. Liquids on that character going out. And again, not a lot of variation in terms of the lineups that we're seeing. Zen getting brought out from Paddy, though. That grenade launcher can be incredibly useful. MK14, not a weapon you can turn your nose up at all. Hits incredibly hard. It was incredibly important for lots of teams, and especially here in EMEA yesterday.
Yeah, but you're taking a character whose primary use of a weapon is at mid to long range engagements, carrying that encryptor. So what you're doing is basically forcing the rest of your team to clear site first before you move in. So realistically, Paddy should be one of the worst or first players in sight for the side. I think that Liquids, though, as you said, bringing fence is a brilliant pickup. Now, whether or not Liquids will actually use the motion sensors as a bit of a solo position, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So the motion detector covers Liquid's own back. The M249 will be singing at full song to try find one, and it does. Michael actually catches a great cover from afar, and that's the first kill going in favor of the defenders.
Michael has been somewhat of a fiend on drop down so far. Just able to cause chaos, able to have those toxic gases as well. BZ grenade arrives, trying to choke out Atomical, but no one's going to be there. Late call of that utility. Michael will find a second one. That M4 has been so potent, just peeks out wide via lobby, and that's going to be the decryptor down. Fishcop's going to charge on in and get that control, but it looks like some of a Wolfpack strategy yet again to the defense, just looking to find that sound, find that weakness, and hunt down what seems to be a very, very isolated offensive lineup, but everyone just so far away. Fishcop's going to try and creep in. Michael's going to have that information. Toxic canister is perfect. Will force them a little bit further back, and Fishcop's going to have to make a rotation. Atomical finally shoots at an opposition, but he's going to be the first to fall for this one. Can't get that job done. Michael gets aggressive, shuts down Fishcop, leaving us all down to 1 versus 4. Very quickly, Gagod shuts that down with a shotgun in the hands of Collision, and we go on to a match point for our defense.
Yeah, this is a big opportunity to win the first map, Whippet. Of course, you win this map, it gets you in a really good position going forward in the best of 3, and I think that on the balance of play, they have been the better side so far here on Hospital A. I know the games are short, I know they're sweet, but that means that every single mistake that is made really does have an impact on the final score of the game. No kills yet for Aphaton, but surely you expect a performance maybe on this round with, with Collision, with that shotgun at the ready. And I like this one because Collision's secondary bit of utility is that tripwire. And when you look at the way that Michael's been playing and you look at
I like that you say that on Collision, yeah, the primary thing, big shotgun. Second, the unique gadget.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? You've got the tripwire, and I think that that's a really important thing to bring when you consider how active the team Gagod have been on this map. They're running out of the map, they're trying to get flanks off. I think the tripwire could be a great addition.
I always got a sneaking suspicion that the primary vocal point of this defense will be Michael yet again. Atomical, tantalizingly close to finding himself an engagement with an enemy for a change. Should have heard that barricade getting cracked open right behind him, but playing the patience game so far, the cone of vision outside just lurking from an Atomical just biding his time. Trying to stay as covert and concealed as possible as Michael deploys the first of those toxic canisters just to choke out that play. Liquids finds that early engagement, watching through that angle, and that's going to keep Atomical safe from this one. This allows Atomical to have a brilliant crossfire established. Liquids holds that down. Unfortunately, Smash Lunatic shuts that down, meaning Atomical is completely alone on an island, and he's got so many bodies stacking up, but finding one, that's going to be the encryptor shut down. Feudal's there to get that trade. Advantage to the offense for the first time in what seems like forever.
1 minute and 25 seconds to go, though. Michael in a 1 versus 1 over the zone against Aphaton, who's not got a kill in this game yet, but is searching for it with the shotgun at this range. Should find it, but no, Michael will turn in the 180 and gets the kill. Decryptor picked up by Fishcop, trying to create a rotate now so he can make his way to join a Smash Lunatic and maybe just creep your way into A. But a rotate now, maybe a little bit wary of the potential of a flank because there is a ping that came in from Paddy, but as we can see, nothing to worry about. Gagod's been pinned out as well. He's got the shotgun, but this is not the kind of range a weapon like that takes preference from, and they're actually playing in towards Gagod right now, but this could work into Collision's favor.
To use that hammer, crack this wide open. They need to check the corner, and they don't. Shotgun finds one. The second pump absolutely smashes Lunatic, and it will do the second time as well. Gagod finding 2. They wrap up this matchup. Lovely. Map number 1 of our very first quarterfinal goes in favor of the roster manned up by Gagod.
Yeah, and it was dominant. It was 3-1. You think of the round that was won by them, and it was 2 team kills from Atomical. That was the, these little things matter. Now, you might look at these accuracy stats and be like, wow, that's not huge. But at the end of the day, Whippet, that's about average with what we've seen over the course of the whole tournament. Because obviously when you're shooting open barricades, they don't count in your accuracy stats. But we are going to throw this one back to the desk before we go into map 2. We'll be back in a bit.
Good game. Actually, really strong opening game. There's a few things to take away, Felix, but I do want to kick things off really talking about Gargod's team. Not because I'm biased, Whippet. Not because I'm biased, all right? But I do want to talk about actually Fishcop's biggest ally, and that was the amount of friendly fire that Atomical put in the back of his own team. That is huge. That nearly, potentially through the game, at least gave Fishcop a point back.
Yeah, whoever's played a couple of rounds of TDM knows it's actually it can happen. Is what I'm trying to say. It's actually not that easy to kind of shoot around your teammates if there is an engagement, your teammates right next to you, which is honestly happens like 50% of the time. You go into a round, you have to cover each other's bags, so you're most of the times actually already right next to each other. So it's definitely going to be something to watch out for. But then again, I think it's been more than just a friendly fire. Let's be honest here. I mean, Michael has had a stellar performance again. He's just really feeling dropped down at the moment, and he has been for some time, not only in this tournament, but in the last tournament as well that we've seen back when it was called Project Arc. And yeah, super strong, always lurking. He wins the duels that he needs to, and this is what I said going into this game, right? I think mechanically, these guys are on a different level. We just got to be honest like that. I mean, there's professional esports players that performed on some of the world's biggest stages coming to this tournament. And on the other hand, you have really skilled players as well, but obviously not necessarily professional esports players. And the fact that they still got chances to take some of these rounds actually means they've prepared as well. And I like what I've seen up until this point, not only today, but yesterday as well.
I do like the consistency with their pick as well. Let's talk about Fish Cop team for a bit. They're picking the same kind of characters. It looks like they're getting settled. There is two different game styles, and I think you're alluding to the mechanical skills, the differences now between the team, the competitive edge versus kind of our streamer friend group. I don't want to take anything away from them. I think they could bag themselves at least a point on this one. It is a best of three though, guys. So obviously the first point is going to the God team, and obviously they'll be looking to try and secure the next one and a spot through. Let's actually go back to Michael very quickly though, fellas, because it is worth a mention. Michael, with the M4, it allows him to roam with drop down. It's not like the Apex, the MP5s. It's not like the Fnatic where we've got the P90s, really reliant on close quarter, corridor, back-to-back battles. Michael's able to jump out. He's able to get some long distance, but at very, very quick, he can turn on a dime, and then he can take on that close quarter fight as well. That, for him, I think this character really, really suits his style of game plan.
Yeah, it's an incredibly strong all-rounder, is what I like to call him. Probably the best all-rounder in the game at the moment when it comes to playing it on offense and defense, and just always having impact no matter the situation, right? You've got the gas grenade launcher as well, not to be underestimated. Saw in this game as well, lots of situations where he pops that out, it's immediately 20, maybe 30, maybe 40 damage by the time the enemy even realizes they're in the gas grenade. So really, really strong, lots of impact. You can deny space, you can played solo as well, and I gotta say he played really well with his team as well. Looked a little bit shaky when they did go aggressive. We saw it on the defense side. They tried to go really close to some of these choke points towards the eastern side of the map to kind of greet them at the door's entry, and at that point a couple of trades around really, really well done, but ultimately did work out in their favor, and this is exactly what I was alluding to, right? That strategy is on point for them. And in terms of agents, while we're on the topic as well, I'm happy to see Collision being brought into the mix a bit more. We saw on both sides. We saw Gargot in the end there actually doing a 2v1 with it as well. We saw Alpha Tom before having a couple of good situations. It is a very tough champion to play, I gotta say. Not as easy as he looks like. You'd think it's a shotgun, pretty straightforward. It really isn't necessarily, because if you miss the first couple of shots, maybe even the first shot, most of the time you're going to be traded out by the fire rate on the opposing side. So you gotta hit the first shots. We saw what Gargot did there in the end as a perfect example of this, but you gotta hit them. That's ultimately the point.
Well, you're talking about timing. We can run off that one because the time is now for match number 2. Let's bring back the amazing Whippet and Gibson. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Mark, and it is time to jump into Game 2 of our first quarter final. Whippet, it's a best of 3. Gagod's team won the first one, meaning they take this map, they advance into the semi-final.
You know what, Gibson, I'm going to say this. I think we're going to be in for a nice little 2-0 for our very first quarterfinal for this one. That's my sneaking suspicion, but my prediction, Elo, as you know, has been tremendously awful no matter what title I work in going for it. But, Gibby, what are your thoughts as we get ready for map number 2?
I think that I'm just really impressed with the way Gagod's team have approached this one today. They seem a lot more in depth with how they want to attack this map. They seem that they've got a better plan, better positioning. I'm impressed by what we've seen so far. On the other side of the coin, though, Whippet, I think that we need a lot more from Team Fish Cop. They're almost a little too hesitant, dare I say, at times to take things on. And on a map like Warehouse, which has got a really large footprint, you can't be that hesitant.
I absolutely agree with you as we get ready to dive straight back into this one. And the big thing for me, Gibby, is I'm not seeing a tremendous amount of variation in these lineups yet again. Now, big thing I'm going to talk about here is the fact that over in North America, we saw this be the predominantly successful strategy. To stick with a lineup to have predictable, consistent utility every single round to know what you're going in with. That's what we saw the side of Super's team do. They were very effective over in North America, so maybe expect some teams to start bringing that out here in EMEA going forward. Again, a lovely lineup that we see getting brought out with the combination of Heinz and Apex. They used that camera plus combination of those BZ grenades just to get that control. And same people, same roles, time and time again. And well, are we even surprised who Michael's playing?
Yeah, look, we know how Michael plays. He loves the M4. I think he likes the M4 more than he even likes the utility that's brought, as he just likes to take on these gunfights. And you can see Michael will spawn on the opposite side of Warehouse to his team. This is what we see them do a little bit more. So that 4-1 split. Now, as we saw yesterday, this corridor has been a primary focused entrance point on this map for a lot of these teams because it essentially gives you direct access. Now, look at Fishcop's team up at no roam presence. Everybody's anchored in and around site. If Smash, Lunatic, and Fishcop fall, full control of the site's going to be gathered, and Smash Lunatic will jump into the little blind spot, and Cappy, though, swings and finds him. Atomical moves. Fishcop will throw a BZ to buy themselves a little bit of time, but site control almost gathered here by the side of Gagod.
They have no idea that Atomical snuck in the midst of that chaos. That toxic capture not quite good enough. Cappy will find one as well. And that's going to force us now all Amphion. Now in a 1 versus 5. Opening round and a flurry of success. The Cryptor is down. And the Wolfpack are hunting. Shotgun finds one, but Liquids might just be a trophy to be mounted on your mantle as Michael finds one more. And locked things out. 3 bodies stacked up to get that assist as well. Everybody went hunting. And very, very quickly, advantage of their attacking team. Gagod's roster very much had that unlocked. But a lot of this is going to come down to one single play. That was down to Atomical. Just darting straight in. Looking to get that control by the boxes back of sight inside of that crypt. They were just sitting, being patient. They even got themselves their medkit down in case they needed to retreat back to that position later on in that gunfight. And they dove in, got their pick. Teammates were there to find that trade. And a great combination with those Heinz cameras and those BZ grenades to buy that initial space. Fantastic utility usage on that B crypt. Can the defense find an answer here? Because it's going to be a very difficult position if they go 2-0 down here.
Well, I think by watching this, the teams that have success defending on this map are the teams that put pressure on the points of entry for the attacking team. And we didn't see that from Fishcop's side whatsoever. And you look at what they're doing again. Full reinforcement Whippet towards that corridor. No presence there, so you're giving up all this space for free. And with, you know, the likes of Heinz, with the blue zone nades that are brought into play by Apex, and I know that Michael's not going to be there, but you can clear the space so easily. And the big difference I'm seeing with it is the double deployable shield. I don't know if I like this bunker that much. I'm not sure I'm a fan.
This could be intriguing to say the very least, but the difficult position about this now is that camera is going to spot you out and you're just going to be in complete revealed position. BZ going a little bit too close to that doorway and doesn't buy optimal usage out of it. They know that setup is there. Liquid so close to Foodle. Unfortunately, he's going to be falling first of all for that one. The M4 rips him asunder. Paddy's going to reveal their position close on that doorway. BZ grenades go out. Michael up close and personal gets shot down. The AK will find that kill credit, leaving us with a minute 30. And a 5 versus 3. Gas canister goes out, chokes out the play. Impact grenade to try and find some damage as well. And this is great for the defensive side. Just lurking in the corners. Rat Tech can win you championships, it feels like. Atomical nearly caught napping. The information wasn't quite good enough on the quick draw. Impacts go out again, trying to choke things out though. Difficult position now for Gagod's team.
Minute left to go. As you said, the Decryptor is down, and Fuddle will find the kill onto Atomical, making it a 2 versus 5. Cappy, though, will catch Fuddle a little bit cold as he tried to play a bit too aggressive. Cappy, though, 1 or 2 shots should see him fall. Will find another kill with the MP5, but the angle is held by Fishcop, and the defending team takes the round. So, similar to what we saw on Hospital A, opening round attacking win from Gagod. The defending team pull it back. But now it's as simple as this. Win your next 2 defensive rounds for Gagod and you book a place in the semi-final.
Would be a lovely result for them. They get that one done, of course. Other quarterfinals are running simultaneously as well, Gibson. Believe we even have a scoreline for that. If you want to... You can read the scoreline, Gibby. You've got better eyes than me.
It's currently 1-0. It is currently 1-0 in that other game. The first map was won by, I believe, Team Pokemon Ladoy. They won 3-2 on Hospital A, so they're also on this map on the other side of the bracket. Remember, only one quarterfinal is being broadcast. The other two semifinals and final will be casted over on this channel. And if you want to give the game a try as well, the demo is available now on Steam. Make sure to go check it out, PUBG BLINDSPOT, and add it to your wish list if you want to know full updates on when the game is going to release.
Trust me, you will not stop playing it once you get into this one. I guarantee it. And even, I tell you this one, you're going to get into the matchups. You're going to see every single member of these teams probably diving straight back into it. Motion sensor goes out with the defense. Gagod's team's going to use that to realize there's something going on towards the northern flank of this. Mass rotation towards that secondary door out by elbow. And Liquid's job right now is just to hold on to this entryway. Michael, no surprise there, is going to be the first to find some action. Looks to try and take a second one down and does so. Michael's going to be the front line. Gago's there to help them out. Fish Cup falls to that shotgun, leaving us very quickly to 5 versus 2. They know exactly where Lunatic is. They charge him down. Atomical with the P90 gets that one done. And it's all down to one lonely collision up against the world in a 1 versus 5. We'll hear Liquids make that deep rotation, but might try and bait some kills with that shotgun. Unfortunately, Cappy, too quick of the draw, shuts it down, and a flawless defensive victory, forcing us on to map match and series point.
Remember what I said, Whippet, about the difference in how teams defend Warehouse? By having an active roaming presence in that external corridor that surrounds the site, you just don't give the attackers the ability to get into the building and find lots of information. One little thing that I suppose we could pick on is maybe the unique ability usage is not in full use for the attackers.
Full swing, you're getting there.
I didn't want to use the word full swing. I was looking for like vision, the word like vision, but I couldn't remember what it was. It was vision, wasn't the word, by the way. But
you got there eventually.
But they didn't really use any of those collision tripwires. Like, I want to see it. You know, you and I, we love seeing players trip over a tripwire.
That is true. I actually believe we are yet to see anyone find a successful pick with those tripwires going out. But looks like it's going to be more of the same for our defensive lineup here. Michael with a reinforcement, barricade with him, just to give him some extra cover. But it does look like a pivot's being made by our offensive team. Just not wanting to commit to the exact same thing again. And it's going to be a 4-1 rotation arriving. A very aggressive clear so far from this part of the map. And it looks like every single rifle from the side of our defensive Gagod's team aren't even looking towards this section of the map at all. A full map clear has been called. And they're going to keep themselves in crouch for as long as possible. Cappy bounding into security. He's going to find out very barricaded up. BZ goes over the top, trying to choke out some position. Nearly finding some friendly damage, but still, front lines very, very clearly formed at this stage of the round.
Yeah, storage hall being pushed now by the side as they get closer and closer, but they'll see the reinforced door will be a problem. Now, this connector could be a choke point for the attacking side, all 5 lined up, but Afaiton with the shotgun might be the perfect person to make first contact. Fuddle will step on him, but a really well-timed blue zone nade will clear spaces. 2 attackers get caught on the wrong side, and it's another team kill. Cappy will find Atomical. That's a great BZ, though. That should find the kill on the Fuddle. Forces them all back, but now Cappy with no more BZs in the back pocket for Apex. Smash Lunatic will open up the wall. Afaiton goes through that conveyor belt as well. Liquids and Cappy now falling behind those boxes. Another impact thrown, but the attackers trying to force it now into A, but it looks like the jig is up with, but they know Liquids will get a trade. Cappy finds another one. It is all down to Michael and Cappy against Smash. Smash Lunatic last alive, and it's a clean 2-0 victory. 3-1 on the map, 2-0 on the series. Team Gagod progress through to the semi-finals.
Cappy MVP of that round as well. Great BZs to get that zone control in the early stages, and great gun skill to make things work with that MP5. When stuff got a little bit scrappy with it in the final moments, but as you mentioned, Gibby, a perfect 2-0 victory here for quarterfinal number 1, and Gagod's roster get themselves lovely and locked in for our semi-final.
Yeah, brilliant from them, and great kill points all round. I think Cappy dropped 10 on that map, which is brilliant to see. But we're going to throw this one back to the desk.
Welcome back, everyone. What a game. What a game. And actually, that last round really kept me on the edge, Felix, because it could have gone either way. I think Fish guys would be a little bit disappointed that they weren't able to clear the final duo. But talk us through that final game, because there's loads of takeaways for people looking on this.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far in terms of the total scoreline, but at least that very last round could have definitely gone a different way. I like that different approach that they had. The rounds before, they made sure to kind of, create a little bit more distance between the players themselves, attack from different directions as well, and that ultimately didn't work out because, as we said, right, the duels have so far been won by one team exclusively, and that is Gargoyle and the squad. It's as simple as that. You see someone drop 10 frags at the end of the game with 4 rounds only being played. That just goes to show you he's definitely dominating. That's what Cappy did as well. And ultimately, the last round, as I was saying, a little bit different. They stayed grouped up. Yes, they attacked from a side that ultimately was known beforehand. That was the side they reinforced and didn't put too much effort into defending in the first place because they know they would have had that information if an execute came in, which it did earlier, at least because of the reinforcements, then on the other side. But unfortunately, not enough utility to be used on the execute in the end of that 2v2 that it came down to, as I said, because of the utility usage not going that way. And Michael, again, gotta highlight him. I think it's the 4th or 5th time I'm saying that. Yes, Cappy did 10 frags, but Michael so often being in very unpredictable positions and making sure he supports his team that way. And he's gathering a lot of information. Even when we see him when he's not on screen, he's off screen, he's roaming around, he's trying to gather information, he's blocking down doors as much as he can. And that ultimately is what this game is about as well, right? Denying positions and gathering as much information as you can.
Finding that blind spot. Let's have a quick look at that leaderboard, though. Gargoyle will take the victory. It's a 2-0 and a best of 3. There is no more to be had. So they'll be transitioning through and coming up against Sheila next. Obviously, Pokemon, they've already put the first one on. We're waiting for that game to finish up to find out who will be the decider. But I do want to go back to your point, actually, because I think that last round for me was a real good change of the wind, should we say. Like, they set up with the intention to go, actually, we're not worried about that side of the map. We barricaded the doors. If they're coming through here, it's going to be really loud, and then we can reposition. And that's what we saw. A couple of barricades gone up. The teams obviously polar opposite side of the map, they worked their way in. And eventually, as they had to break through the doors, that obviously the reposition. Now, you said it. It was really, really interesting because Michael, let alone, just came roaming in at the end. He went the long way around. He was clearing the rooms. And if we did lose that 1 versus 1, because Cappy did get a bit of revenge, didn't it, against Tomical, because he got to shoot him in the back, like he did the game before. He was there ready. And I don't think the two would have been poised to find that actually they've got an M4 pretty much barrel pointed at their back.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's part of the reason why I said as well, I think that very last round of these could have gone a different way because that was the first time the trades as well, when it did come into that straight retake, not even retake, but it's the straight execution scenario, did go their way to some degree. But then again, as you said as well, right, the setup was just a little bit too perfect. It takes a lot of time due to the fact that they reinforced not only 1 door, but 2 doors. Take a lot of time to not only smash down the doors, we saw a couple of nades being used there as well, instead of just melee or hammers. I don't think they had a carnival in play there at that point, but it also gives away a lot of information. Up until that point, it's pretty simple to just rotate on back and suddenly be greeted by 5 players. And then again, right, we said it as well, it's a timing question. You reinforce 2 doors, you're going to go through it, that's easily 30 seconds. If you actually do it without any risk, that's easy 30 seconds. There's a blue zone grenades being used in there as well. So not only 30 seconds, but you use utility as well. And at that point, I really think Michael's squad and Gargoyle's squad, they really had all the advantages in the world with that type of play. Reinforce the one side, and as soon as you have information, you just rotate on back, and you still have a 5-on-5 retake at worst on the crypt.
Let's talk about some of you two, actually, because it was really interesting across all those rounds, actually. For me, Blue Zone nades weren't being stacked as much this time. I think Happy missed the opportunity where there was a bottleneck of the team where they were kind of trying to breach through into that kind of corridor before we got to the sites. So you got to be cautious. There are some characters I think they've got maybe too much. For me personally, I think Heinz with those cameras where they can drone through several, like having too many of them is just a little bit OTT. I think teams might need to ensure that they automatically select him as well as an Apex, and maybe going into the rest of the evening, I kind of find this sort of Haynes Apex duo. You've got to make sure you find someone in your squad to get the balance of the character. But I do want to talk about one of the new characters, Fence. We've seen it yet again now, day number 2. We're actually using the motion traction U2 as they throw it against the wall. I think that is key. I think we haven't got the placement down just yet, but these teams and these players are trying to figure out exactly where the best place is now to situate this utility. Yes, we've got the blue zone grenades. Yes, we've got the impact grenades, etc. But I think Fence is a little bit underestimated. I'd like to see more from that character today.
Yeah, interesting, right? I think you spoke about something that's really important. It's going to be really important when we get closer to the finals, utility usage on Fence. Because so far, we've seen 2 different types of these sensors being used, right? First one is kind of like preemptively, go as deep and as close to the enemy spawn as possible, grab that information, and not really do much with the information apart from knowing where at least 1 or 2 of these players is attacking. And the second part is actually hold back on the utility, stack the site, stack the crypt, and then use it when it's close to the execute, so that it creates not only another pressure to, first of all, destroy that gadget, but also gives you probably plenty of more actionable information in that sense. So it's kind of different in the way it's being used. And as you said as well, right, you only have 2 of these chances each game. You got to make them count. But overall, very strong gadget, as you said. I think it's a great addition. It's what we've been, to some degree, missing as well in that regard. And then there's this direct reference to Heinz that you said as well, right? Similar gadgets. One has 6 chances to make something happen with it. One's only got 2. We'll have to wait and see how that's really going to shape down in the future and whether or not some balance adjustments need to be made. I don't think so, personally. I think if Heinz really would be a problem, we've probably seen way more. And at the moment, it seems like Fence has definitely picked a little bit more likely.
Right, look, let's obviously remind everyone what we're playing. So PUBG Blind Spot is a new release. This is the invitation. We invited some of the best gamers out there to come throw it down for the prize pool. But you can also get involved. It's now active on Steam. So if you go to Steam and search PUBG Blind Spot, you'll see there'll be 2. One says PUBG Blind Spot Demo. Click on that one first. Click the download link and get it straight onto your PC. The other one, though, is the important one. Make sure you click on the game. Hit the wish list icon. That's going to give you all the information, any of the updates, all the character updates, all the changes, the new maps and everything that was going to be unfold, and even when the game is dropping, they'll be the ones you want to go. Let's take a quick break though. When we come back, we've been moving into the semi-finals. It's a best of 3 again. Don't go anywhere. I'll see you guys in a few.
Welcome back into the PUBG Blind Spot EMEA Invitational, where we are now into the semi-finals. Whippet. It will be Pokemon Adoy in the very next matchup. But Whippet, I want to question, which of these teams have impressed you most? As I think it's actually, I'm wrong. I think it's actually the Shilla Gagod game we got coming up next.
I'm just going to let you know, Gibby, I'm going to be joining the hype train behind Gagod's team the entire way towards that grand final. I'm just saying it. I'm laying my cards on the table. That's who I'm going for.
You know what? I back it. And I remember Shilla's team and 10,000 Days team were incredibly impressive yesterday. Both of them getting the automatic bye through to those semi-finals as we get ready to jump into game one. But Whippet, it's a best of three. The games are fast and furious. Both of these sides, well, one of the sides hasn't played today. The other side won 2-0 in the quarterfinal. Are you feeling another quick 2-map series, or do you think this one's destined for 3?
Ooh, this could be a tough one, actually, Gibson, going into this one. You know what? I'm going to say this. I'm going to think it's going to be a 2-0 going into one. The reason my justification for 2-0 series here is going to be pretty simple, actually. It is down to the fact that I think when you win one of those maps, I think you're going to be in control. We haven't seen a lot of games be tremendously close. Now, we had some nail-biter rounds, but I think if you get off to a good start, you're going to be able to carry the momentum all the way through. As we get ourselves ready for this one. Shopping mall, our map of choice for this, Gibson. Are you ready for this?
I'm so ready. Now remember, Shopping Mall, the layout is pretty simple. The north side of the map is very much an office setup. Then as you move further south, you get into that wide open atrium that moves towards the shops themselves. And what the sites is in and around the shops, the lineup is set up for Gagod's team, the same as what we saw on the attack in the previous map. And I'm looking at the defending team, and I am seeing a little change of lineup from what was in the previous matchup. But we are seeing a bit more Zen. And I know that the grenade launcher is pretty useful, but you need to take advantage of those long distance engagements if you're going to use Zen.
Could not agree more with you, and you have the option without a matchup like this one. Now, Gibson, this map also, from the outside, appears to be set in your favourite European city of all time, Paris.
Yeah, I love a bit of Paris. You love it. You love Paris more. You get attacked by the local wildlife in Paris all the time.
I'll perhaps save that story until we get ready for our prep phase of getting into one, as immediately we're going to see the offensive side of Gagod's team just knocking on the door, charging themselves straight into office, and they're just going to get caught by that gas canister very quickly, but Liquid's going to be able to kite around that, and they're going to realize that they can knock themselves straight through this wall. The camera goes out, they're going to get knowledge of exactly where people are lurking in, and now, again, the Crypto Bay is an incredibly compact position, a lot of hard walls around it, but there's going to be CC creeps in that back line, and it looks to be right now the intention is going to be to play around and getting that case down inside of A. The camera goes out, forces the rotation, and Tara's going to be in a difficult position. Azina's going to be able to swing out wide, get that one locked down. Liquid's first to fall. VZ Grenade is going to be fantastic to force back that control and buy you some space. Defense doing a great job just keeping themselves alive, keeping themselves in this fight, and just using their utility to trade space and time.
Yeah, that was actually an attacking Blue Zone nade that was thrown that hit the wall and bounced back with it, so it was a bit of a misplay that has forced time to work against them a bit more. Impact nades thrown, but not doing an awful lot of damage, as Michael, as we usually tend to see, is on the backstab. There is a little head height peak hole that Terzkov might look to use against Michael in a few seconds' time, but Gagod has decided it's time to step up, and Zen, with that MK, will take him down. 5 versus 3 now. Michael being choked out by the gas, and this is not going well for Gagod's side.
Not in the slightest. They're struggling very much to get this map control. They're trying in acts of desperation. Baron was going to find one. Atomical's next to go. Cappy is soon to be diving straight to that grave and leaving us now in a very, very short-lasting 1 versus 4, and it will be shut down. The MK14 gets that job done. It's going to be the defense victory here. This map so far, I really do feel, has been very beneficial for the offense and for the defensive lineups, I should say. And look at the amount of deployable shields getting brought out from this. 8 deployable shields across the board from this one from Shilla's team. Going to create lots of cover, lots of choke points, and I think the appropriate reply from the offense has to bring 10 HEs themselves, so they can lob these behind them. 2 HEs enough to clear a single shield, so their intention is going to be use these nades best they can, the clear utility, and maybe find a pick if possible.
Yeah, a little wrinkle that we've seen as well from Shilla's team is they're using some of those deployable shields to just cut off some of the vents to make sure the teams can't sneak their way inside the building. There's another one being thrown, used for a boost spot. You know, we see boosts be used very effectively from time to time, but I think boosting yourself is a very smart decision, Whippet, because
we have some serious tech here in EMEA now.
I
The
know.
difference, the immediate difference that we have from yesterday's games and this game is the fact that we now have a shield boost arriving. So it's trying to deny that, of course. It's, remember, isometric game, but doesn't mean it's just a point-and-click adventure. You have to decide what level you're aiming at. If you're boosted up towards that, it's going to be very difficult to make that decision where to aim, how to be able to find those shots and connect them. Liquids takes very, very significant damage early, and it will be the same script followed yet again. And I'm going to raise the question here, Gibson. I think this direct Route 1 style of play is the wrong call for this one. The A crypt is just too defended, too small, and too difficult to deal with as Baron finds the opening. Cappy's gone, so the offense no longer have access to those BZ grenades.
Yeah, and another nade's going to get thrown in, but no damage will be dealt on to CC or Tear's Cuff as we get some information gathered by Gagod, clearing out the small office, the display room, I suppose you could call it, as they look to move towards A. Michael is on a bit of a flank here, but you can see there's nobody in that connector, but you can see the tripwire with it. It's in his line of sight. Now, does Michael make that fatal error of stepping over it? Because I don't think we've seen a tripwire kill just yet on the side of EMEA. A minute left to go. Liquid's going to get some HP back, or at least you hope that's what's happening, and that is exactly what does. And it looks like they're going to go direct for A. Are they going to try to squeeze through that vent?
It looks like that's what they're cooking here. No vision inside of A just yet from them. Michael on that flank tries to make something happen. Shut down with that tripwire. The hands of Collision. Gagod dives in, finding one with the Zuzi, but not enough to make it happen for two. It's going to be Baron turns finding one apiece, leaving us all down to Atomical, who doesn't last long. The MP5 shreds him up close to personal, and a 3-player streak for Baron to lock things out, moving us on the map point here for Shilla's side. Gibson, perhaps the caster curse has struck a little bit too soon. The UK boys struggling here on their offense. Can it be a different story here on the defense?
Well, there is a reason why Shilla's team got the bye to the semi-final. They were one of the better, they were one of the top 2 teams in yesterday's action, and they're showing us why today. And there's a massive advancement in how they're playing this as well. They look a lot more set up, and I think that on their attack now, they'll be looking to finish this in 3 rounds. Now, winning attacks is a lot more difficult. I think this is a map that does favor the defenders a little bit more. Well, but I'm looking and I'm trying to see what is being done differently by Michael's side, and it looks like they are going to try to extend out, but that roaming presence by Michael was huge for them on this map yesterday.
Thing that I'm really going to highlight immediately, by the way, that we're seeing those pings arrive on that wall just outside of A. So they've clearly got a detection, realizing that that's going to be barricaded off, that triple wall. I want to see an more kind of clear the map style of play, take the entire map out of play, get that control. Michael is going to make things a little bit more difficult. You got to check your corners. Got to check this. Can they find a way into this one? It's going to be a difficult one lurking into it. Michael just diving in, finding some damage. And it's going to be a difficult duel just outside of it. The toxic counter goes out, chokes out this play. That's going to make things a very difficult one indeed. It is going to be Michael who's going to be first to fall from that, and that's going to be a nightmare position to find themselves in. It's all down to this, though. The offense doing a great job. They need to get themselves control and access straight in. Very, very difficult. The HE goes off. Access getting closer and closer to Crypt inside of A. They need to get control. BZ grenade should go deep enough, and CC's going to find that pressure. But that's going to force out that bait. That shotgun does so much damage. Charging in, and Shilla doesn't only win that one, but finds out the second time of asking. It's going to be Gagod next to go from this rotation from that vent, but a great BZ grenade yet again. Flurry of action as Liquids gets one, but instantly traded off, leaving us now in a 4 versus 2. The defense seemingly in shambles, all down the one. It's all alone and shut down quickly. A flawless 3-0 victory as they wrap things up nice and tidy for it. Job is done. Map 1 goes in favor of Shilla's side. They move themselves one step closer. It has been incredible from them to watch this going into it, but we have a wonderful set of analysts to break this one down. Desk, take us away.
Casters, stop cursing my team. Stop cursing my team. God, no, that was a clean sweep. There's a lot really to look at actually from this game. Look, Sheila did get the deserved result, the bypass to the semi-finals because they had a game set plan. I feel like Sheila's team is playing very different as well, Felix, because they have a wider split. We saw them, especially in the last game, they came in different angles. We saw the pings going exactly where they want to go, game, set, and match. Whereas on the other side, Gargod, when they're breaching inmate, they're coming through and they're bottlenecking, they're staying pretty tight together. It's a different style of game. I don't think Gargod's team was ready for it, but it's a best of three, mate. They can now reset and think about going again and trying to piece this apart.
Yeah, it felt like that a very specific strategy they want to try for on the attacking side when it comes to Gargoyle's squad, as you said as well. Same exact setups for both of these rounds, and it didn't work the first time, so why try it a second time? It felt like they were really convinced in that strat from the beginning with 3 players from the outside, and then Michael, and sometimes, maybe even Gargoyle lurking somewhere else towards the eastern side of things. But once again, didn't work out at all. No one really greeted them towards the eastern side either, so that's not really something that could be said on why it didn't work. Just when it came to the execution, at that point, they wasted so much utility that ultimately it wasn't really possible. And also, it's got to be said, right? If you only engage from the eastern and western side, that's essentially only 2 choke points you can really find yourself going into that crypt, and that's just not what happened as soon as these sides switched, right? These guys attacked from every side. They even have someone on the railings on the very outside of the building, attacking essentially from 3, sometimes even 4 angles at the same time, and at that point, they won the jewels as well. So it's a quick 3-0 sweep. Really well played from both sides, and ultimately, the very first time I see Gargoyle squad really struggling in this tournament, it's got to be said as well, the very first time I see them not really winning their jewels.
Yeah, and they were getting isolated. When they found one individual, let's take Michael, for example, worked really well in their first game. He got isolated, 3 players were straight on him really, really quickly and closed him down. There's another bit I want to talk about very quickly as well, is all about the use of utility. Now, we saw this actually first time, Felix, in the first Invitational, using the shield to block entry points and also use it as a kind of step up, looking down, putting the shots off, because you've got to remember, you're missing that apex axis. You've got to be very, very cautious. I think we're going to see more of it. These players are already now starting to be creative with the use of the utility. I'd expect to see more and more of these shields going into play a little bit later on.
Yeah, I also think in terms of utility, we're seeing some pettas now emerge, right? I think it's the 3rd, maybe even 4th game in a row that we see someone have impact grenades on the defender side. It seems to be a must-have at this point. And, I mean, there's reasons for it. We saw it work out perfectly yesterday for a good reason, right? You know someone's going to be close to your crypt. You know exactly which choke point is going to be coming to you. That's easy 40, 50 damage just like that. And at the moment, that seems to be the key. Barely any grenades being used. On the other hand, Apex, especially in warehouse side A, I got to call out some of these agents as well. Super valuable pick. Once again, very few choke points that the enemies can attack from. That makes his abilities even more worthwhile, especially when we use late, right before the crypt execute comes in. And the same could be said about a couple of characters that we saw into play, but especially Apex. So I'm not surprised that we see him here, and I'd be very surprised once again moving forward if we don't have him as a must-have pick on the defender side.
Well, we'll come back to the must-have picks later because I'm still trying to finalise it myself. But round 1 obviously has gone to Sheila's side. We've got to get round number 2. Gibson and Whippet, take it away.
I muted myself. I'm back. We're good. But a much needed break. And Whippet, after that one, what do you think? Is Sheila going to take this in 2?
I'm going to keep to my philosophy and say I think that I'm going to see 2-0 sweeps in the best of 3. So, yes, I'm going to stick with that one going into a Gibby. I think they looked incredible on that defense. And the one side that we saw on the offense from them, when they made that swap, they looked incredible. They looked very dangerous, and they had a very clear use of what they want to do with their utility. I think, down to me, I think Sheila's going to be able to get this, and I think that grand final spot is calling.
Well, we will find out. Remember, it is basically a best of 1 for them now to try get through. And if they lose it, they've got another chance. But for Gagod's team, you've got to win the next 2 maps back to back. Now, maybe it was just a stylistic thing. Maybe the flow of Shopping Mall didn't suit them that much, Whippet. So as we progress to our next map, we may just see some changes. But Whippet, I want to know. So you said you think it's going to be a clean 2-0 sweep. Do you think that the team from Turkey have got one over on the Brits?
Oh, you know deep down what I want to say right now, Gibson, but what I'll say quite simply is I think from what I've seen on Shopping Mall, I think Shilla's side is going to be incredibly strong here as we get ready to dive into what could be our final matchup of this Gibby. So yes, initially it's going to be a side from Turkey. They've got my backing from this. I think to get the job done here.
Yeah, going to Warehouse, we saw this map be a stronghold for Gagod's team earlier on. Let's see if they can do the same again now. Pre-placing down those med kits, which is something that we've seen teams do. Usually, but we'll see one be pre-placed on site, and then the other one will be carried in the pocket of Fnatic for use at a later stage inside the game. Gagod getting the tripwires out, maybe something that we could criticize Gagod's team for a little bit earlier, was not using those tripwires. So hopefully they've learned their lesson and maybe they'll catch one of those attackers cold.
We did see successful use of one of those tripwires in our previous matchup as well, but it happened in the midst of that chaos. And the big thing about this is going to be a duality of where you want to place with tripwires if you're going to bring out that collision. Do you want to have them extended out, acting as a proxy source of information? You'll hear them get shot out, or you even might hear that detonation off of the distance of the building. Or do you want to use them closer towards your crypt when things get a little bit closer to that mad scramble where mistakes can be more easily made? So the big test now, though, is if we can see Shilla's roster have a successful opening here on the offense. They creep themselves in from this, and it does appear to be Liquids is in the most danger, caught in a nasty crossfire. Second bodies or second group isn't ready and quick enough to react to it. BZ grenade goes out, but at this stage, Liquids has already fallen back, and the first aid kit's right there. He can dive in on that and get himself topped up in terms of HP, and that's exactly what he'll do. 5 bodies stacked up already, and they're just knocking on the door connector. They can walk themselves through conveyor belt. That HP might be good, but no, Liquids just in enough cover to keep himself safe and sound. BZ grenade goes out, finds 1 tick of damage, and they're going to try and dive on in. Cappy's position going to be a trade-off of BZ's as well. Cappy's going to take 2 ticks from that, retreat further back, and there's somewhat of a pause button now. That BZ just chokes out a little bit more time.
Yeah, anchor point placed now for the attackers as well, as that med kit provides a fallback to get a HP if needs be, but Gagod is about to be in a battle with the shotgun. Collision should win these. Shilla might have just heard a footstep. He's going to lay down the trip mine as well, which may just catch them cold. The nade will clear it though. As you can see, that bit of utility has now been used, and Shilla will take 1 pump of the Winchester, but will stay on his feet. 4 versus 4. 25 seconds left on the clock, and now they're making their move. Terzkov going to push down that corridor, pushing in towards A, where we've got Liquids ready to get involved with the fight. Terzkov gets the double, though. They've got full control of A now. Cappy peaks, but the cover's great from CC, leaving it all down to Gagod and Michael. The cryptor's been planted inside the crypt, but this should be 1 shotgun double, though, from Gagod, and all of a sudden, Whippet, there's a chance.
There's a lifeline, there's a hope. Impact grenades go out. And it's going to be a difficult one, though. Finding yourself now in a 1 or 2 versus 2. 1 versus 1, that's going to be wrapped up. Lovely. Gas capture gets it done. Shotgun locks it out. But Gibby, why we see this, the cryptor getting shut down, I've got some news to break to you. It's going to be a rehost.
I didn't want to bring it up. I was
but
disappointed.
You have to mention it eventually. It's gonna. I'm got myself in
Caster jump scare.
Oh, we're here. Hello. Unfortunately, you have to stare at myself and Gibson for a little bit while we get things ready for this one. So we dive into that now. Rehost. Wrong map we got brought out there. So how much can we gain from what we saw as maybe a preview of the action to arrive in this matchup?
Well, we saw an increase in utility usage from Gagod's side on the defensive side of things, but you know what? I think that the flow of all the maps is so different that you can't really take too much of it. I was thinking, I thought that we were due to get to Mansion, right? That's what I was expecting to see with it, but I guess we'll still have to wait and see when the map does kick off. But what about you? Did you see anything there that's worth focusing on as we get ready to jump into the next map?
I enjoyed the fact that we saw a very different initial approach to get that map control from this. They didn't go for that route one style of play. Shilla's side was very keen to just take map control and really creep their way into that building. It was a much better approach from this, and I'm a big fan of that full map clear side of things. They had a great pre-fire, a great crossfire established for that opening engagement. Just couldn't quite get that conversion to that opening pick, but nonetheless, the vision was there from them. The big thing I want to see from a lot of these teams, especially the defense, is extend out across the map. Again, this game has all the options. You can make this map a canvas. You can open up whatever way you want. We've not seen teams fully find their expression just yet in terms of that.
No, we haven't. And a stat that I've not been keeping track of, but I would love to keep an eye on, and we'll talk about it a little bit more after the break, though, is the opening kill conversion and how that works in this game. But we're going to jump into a quick break while we get the map ready. When we come back, we'll delve more into that point, and we'll see the action. We'll be back in a sec.
This is one where we all go like that bottom area and I hold the window.
Or we're all main gate, and then
Yeah.
and you need to scan every one of these rooms, Dress, and then scan this one as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
I got it.
There's a shield behind this, which is even better for us. BPK, you're holding this whole hallway from like one of these corners.
The guard dog gameplay.
BTK, careful the lurk on this as well.
Side flank, but BTK Master is waiting for it. He keeps looking over in that direction, but hadn't spotted him.
And then me, Gunner, and Drass, we are making our way to this room. We have to cross in the open of this, but Suppress should be holding it.
I'm about to start scanning left side. Are we good?
You guys ready?
I'm nading this room.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Careful, don't go in there. I don't see anything in there. I'm holding.
And then we have to clear this whole hallway. There's nothing really to play behind. If there's a guy with a shield, we need to use util, because like we can't just run it in or we'll die. Get a smoke on the crypt. Even if you go down, just plant the decryptor.
It's barricaded.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Break this.
I'm nading.
Are you ready to nade this?
Yeah.
Yeah, break.
Got one.
Good.
Nice.
I'm in.
I need a baddie.
Left is clear. Left is clear.
What's in there? My ping.
Blue zone nade's gonna come out, but we haven't seen Gunner be able to get in and get into a plant just quite yet.
You can't see from that angle. Come to me. Come to me.
Got bomb going down.
You have a Maddie, bro?
Yeah, here.
Just play time if you can.
A lot of work there.
We're good, bro. We're good.
And even though Venerated's the one that's going to come up with kills.
Nice.
We got it. We got it, bro. We're good. We're good.
You guys
So we don't mind as well.
On the right. Come here. How are you losing that? Jesus, that's sad. Get a fucking trip. You need to go get a job, man. You're holding it.
And we are back. Sorry for that little delay, but we did have a rehost during that we had to get started. So as we changed the map, and Whippet, just before we broke into that break, I brought up opening kill conversions and bounce back ability. It's something to keep an eye on. Do you want to let the viewers know what that actually means?
Well, opening kill conversion, I think we can all predict what that means. Of course, Gibson is going to be your conversion rate from victory when you find that opening pick. It's an incredibly important stat going into matchups like this one. 5v5 game modes or games like this are very important on who can find that opening pick. Numeric advantages can be a massive cascading factor. And our opposite statistic line that we like to talk about time and time again, Gibson, is our bounce back. It's when teams can suffer that opening casualty and they're able to get themselves back into this, claw their way back into the action so far. And I do feel that we've seen a lot of teams live and die basically off that opening engagement. The first team to find that pick tends to be the one that can carry on that momentum, as you gain that numeric advantage, and you also gain that utility advantage. You get more secondary utility, like for example on the offense, you can overwhelm positions with more HEs. You can have all that extra opportunities with your unique abilities as well from that, and of course having a few extra rifles and a flurry of gunfights can be an incredible resource for it, and you can trade your way to victory. As we dive into this one now, of course, rehost has arrived, so it's going to be a full reset. So the previous round that you would have saw on stream, just forget about it. That didn't happen. What round?
Didn't happen. We're jumping back in. It's a different site setup, so it's the same map, just the different variant of warehouse. Little change up in the attacking utility usage of it. They're bringing 6 flash grenades, which is we've not really seen used to the full advantage yet. Terzkov with that external wall that looks directly inside of B. We've seen sites like this in the past. If Terzkov can get a bit of information, we might see a flood. But I think it's smart when you have a site like this with external factors that push in towards it in this room like control room. You need to have at least 1 or 2 players holding it at all times.
HE goes out. Michael will find himself the first to take a beating from it. C4 goes off. Cappy's going to just dodge that hailstorm of bullets that arriving at them. Toxic canister has been placed. Combine that now with that tripwire. If someone's brave enough to dart through that when it begins to disperse, they might find themselves in a difficult position. Baron a little bit alone here, bashing their way through this soft panel wall. Will be able to creep their way into that hallway. BZ grenade chokes at the primary push from Michela's side right now, and it looks like the primary intention is going to be the play around getting that decryptor down inside of Crypt B. Stun grenade goes out, fully blind. It's going to be atomical, but no one's there to take full advantage from that. A trade-off, HE goes out, but met instantly by reply of that BZ grenade. 40 seconds left to work with from this. All 10 players still standing. Now HE's no good either.
Yeah, and they're going to jump up over that shield. The tripwire Whippet is not extending far enough to do any real damage to the attackers, and the decryptor will go down. Gas has been thrown. That'll force Cappy in through the door. Gagod with a big flank though with a shotgun. This ain't the sort of range that the Winchester works at as best as the M2. But the M249, Liquids is just holding Mouse 1 on that angle. This is the range that the shotgun has an impact at. CC with the MK14 though. You gotta swing Gagod, but Shilla's holding from afar, and Shilla will find that kill. Liquid's down to 1 or 2 HP, and the pros don't fake. Whippet, pros don't fake. CC needs to push across. CC stops it from being diffused, counter diffused. 10 seconds left on the round. Asnia on the other side, but is there enough time? I think there's just about enough. Asnia trying to push in, trying to stop it. 3, 2, 1, and the defenders get it done at the blink of an eye.
1 second to spare. Asnia just stuck in a very difficult position indeed. Choked out by that toxic canister on a single point of HP. Couldn't even risk charging through that. And we find ourselves a defensive victory. They open things up here. But Gibby, the big thing about that is actually how impressive it was they got the case down in the first place. It was a very difficult stalemate to lock things out at the beginning of this one. I thought around 45 seconds, 35 left to go. We're going to see the defense sweep this one up based off time alone. But the moment that we saw Baron swing around that flank and somewhat show the hand, they looked away for a brief moment, denying line of sight into the crypt, and they let that decryptor go down. Unfortunately, the retake was successful, and they get that job done. So 1-0 advantage for the defense here of Gagod's team. And of course, we are in a best of 3 format here. Gagod's team do trail by 1 map, so they need this map desperately to force us all the way to our third.
It was successful with it, but it was so close to not being it. It took 7 seconds, I believe, to get the counter diffuse done, and they got on it with barely just above that left on the clock. Now, change in push. Asnia will push into the corridor straight away. He's got some cover, but as you can see, there's no defenders leading the way to stop this push from happening. Michael, as always, will be somewhere off-site. Not as far away as we're used to seeing the Whippet. He is closer than normal. But this time, Cappy's been left with all the hard work. He's the player anchoring B all by himself. And now he's dipped out and given it up to the attackers as well, who will get that wall open in just a few seconds' time as well.
You say Cappy's all alone, but they have 2 BZ grenades in their back pocket as well, so you can really utilize that to try and choke out time and control. So Cappy on the Apex might be the perfect character for this defense. 3 bodies stacked up deep outside of B. And a little bit of a safety net being deployed there. Asna's going to put that down, but it was, you know what, listen, I think we might need that first aid a little bit later on, so good decisions being made so far. CC's already used one of those grenade launchers that are available to them here on Zen. Shield still holding, and it's going to be a shotgun utilized perfectly. Gagod just waiting until someone stumbles into his LOS, and that's going to be Terra so terrifyingly close towards that shotgun. BZ grenade goes out just over the crypt, and that's going to be very important information. No one reacts off that, and Cappy, so tantalizingly close. Gas grenade goes off to no remark, and I think we're going to be very soon. I think they're going to dive straight in to try and make this one stick. There's no clear line of sight. That grenade's going to make things more complicated. That BZ's perfect,
great.
And that is beautiful use of utility. BZ's going to buy that space. Crypto goes down. Damage not good enough from Cappy, and a great use of those BZ's in the hands of Apexes. Both sides trading them off, and now 30 seconds till this round's done and dusted for the offense.
The Cryptor went down in a 5 versus 5, and now you're stuck in a retake. No smoke grenades available. Stun grenades being thrown. Impacts back as a rebuttal, but as it stands, it's going to be a tough ask for the defenders to win this one. Terscough will fall. Cappy trading that one back. Sheila steps on in, but Cappy will fall at the hands of Baron Peak. Atomical. Pros don't fake the gas, though. It's going to dissipate at the wrong time. Asnia, you just got to peek, and he does. He stops it. It's a double in the round, and the attacking team will take it. We're one apiece at the side swap.
That was a beautiful execution onto Crypt B, Gibson. Oh my, chef's kiss for that one. The BZ grenade goes out deep. Now, this is what I love about this. The HE goes out, opens up the panels on that soft wall, and that BZ is followed right behind it. Double grenade combination. Panels get opened up, BZ grenade goes through, and that's going to force everyone back. Apex or Cappy not in a good enough position to deny that going down. The BZ grenade thrown too late and too deep into the crypt, meaning with all 10 players remaining, they were able to get that one to go down. Perfect 10-man execute. Whoa, that's what I love to see.
Yeah, now we're going to jump into the first round of the defensive half for Team Sheila. They are 1-0 up on the series, so they know at this point if they can hold out their defensive half, they will advance into the final, which doubles their prize pool, Whippet, if I'm not wrong. 1,500, isn't it, for second place, 2,000 for first, and 750 for everybody else. Now, what are the attackers going to do? The lineup is pretty similar to what we've seen already. Carnival being brought by Liquids, who's oh so useful when it comes to opening up those walls. And I've noticed a lot, right? We're seeing Carnival be brought by Gagod's team. On the other side of things, Zen was the operator that was being used by Sheila's team to open up those walls, using those grenade launchers from afar to get the wall open.
Again, it's going to be that trade-off. Do you want to get yourself up close and personal, or do you want to do that from distance? Hammer Strike goes out. One panel opened up. Not enough to get both of them, but leaving that second reinforcement just on the edge of it. Camera goes out. Should be a double tick from that BZ grenade. Baron actually stuck in a corner. Nowhere to go. Cappy gets that credit. And that's going to be a massive pick there. That's going to be a trade-off as Baron's going to be off the cards. That's going to be the Apex loss from the side of the defense. That means no BZs in return. Gas grenade goes out as well. Tries to choke things out. Camera should be good. Sheila forced to fall back. And zonal control goes there, but Michael makes that pivot down. Charging all the way via elbow. Might make a deep rotation. And he might be able to find 3 defenders napping.
Yeah, control the site that they're pushing towards. Nade will clear even more space, but the angle is being held. CC might just run out. We've seen players make plays externally already in this game, and CC's going to go for it. He steps out but doesn't see anybody. Blue zone nade will stop the defenders from peeking on this angle, and now Cappy should be able to get the decryptor down. Pros don't fake. He will stick it in the middle of sight, and the decryptor's been planted now. It's all about holding your own. 4 versus 5. The attackers have the advantage with it, but these retakes can be vital.
CC's just going to be barricaded off and can't go the easy way to get back in the action with this team. Impact grenade goes out by Sheila. Michael, though, plays at a passive angle, and it's going to be a flurry of missed opportunities. Liquid so close to that one. Grenade's going to be near, but perfect. Asna will get one. It's going to be a flurry from the defense! Popping off and rushing through your kill feed. And they've got all the time they want to get that one locked out. Easy counter defuse. And we see Sheila's roster move 1 round away from a grand final opportunity here in EMEA.
Yeah, they're 1 round away, 1 successful defense, and they find themselves doubling their prize pool and maybe adding even more to that again. Looking at the lineup, though, Whippet, Michael, one of the stars of the show yesterday and today, has been kept to a donut through 3 rounds, as has Atomical. They need to step up if they want to have a chance in this game. You got to win on the attack, but the same difference, they're bringing the Heinz. Now, Heinz, we've spoken before, is so that Heinz Apex combo can be really important.
I love that combination. The camera goes out, BZ follows it when you have that information. But time and time again, we've seen the utility available. Apex has yet again just been one of those characters that has had impact in every single round that we've seen played today. All of them. Those BZs buy you space and are so punishing if you get caught within that radius. But it all comes down to this now. What could be our very final round here. Overtime, our boss for Gagod's side. The UK guys need this one to stay alive in this competition to get themselves 1 step closer to glory here at PUBG BLINDSPOT. And everything looks a little bit compressed from the defense so far. The wolf pack begins to swarm around the left-hand side of your screen. Gas grenade deployed in case things get scrappy out towards the crypt at B. I wonder, Hines goes out, gets some information. No one's in that position. Impactor gas grenade goes out as well to lock things out. Schiller looks to hold that long line of sight. M4 ready for it. And tented a few moments, the Carnival Hammer swings and cracks that wall wide open. Access to B is there. And the Hines camera goes out. Baron plays such a key role. Just avoiding detection. Just remaining in concealment for a little bit longer. But can't stay any longer. HG's there. I'm going to run into a crossfire. Michael finds the opening. But they're not going to dive straight in the sight just yet. BZ's combination with that HG goes as well. And this decryptor should go down in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, you gotta stop Sheila from being able to peek to this point now, though. The Cryptor will go down. Sheila will find a kill, though. Are we going to see another successful retake from the defender? CC will get one as well. It's a 4 versus 3. But remember, the Decryptor is down. 4 versus 2, but it's getting worse now. Gagod gets swung, and the wall will prevent them from being killed for just now. Gagod will get the wall bang on the Tears Cuff with the headshot. Liquid steps on up, gets shut down by Asnia, and that is it. That will do it. Your winners of the semi-final will be Team Sheila. They will go all the way through. Little bit of BM there. Sheila wanted to get the decrypt done himself. Whippet, you gotta say, they deserved it.
They played an exceptional matchup here. Job is done for semi-final number 1. They've got themselves a ticket booked for our grand final Gibson. And the big thing for me is, slowly but surely here at EMEA, we've seen these teams get better and better with utility. And the story, quite simply, is how those BZ grenades have time and time again opened up that site and allowed executions to arrive. Whoever's on your Apex is going to play a very important role. Apex's job is going to stay alive because you're going to be very important for that, not just post-plant, but denying that plant going down and opening things up for your execution on the offensive side. Great utility from both these teams so far.
Yeah, it looks like Apex and Fnatic are the two must-haves, but you know what else we must have? A breakdown from the desk. Let's bring in Mark and Felix. We're going to jump out as we get ready for the second semi-final.
What a first semi-final that was. And we need to talk about util because actually, Apex, we're kind of secure now. This is the spot. You definitely need an Apex character. But Baron Peak was using flash grenades on the defensive version and opting for the BZ on the offensive. Really interesting new use of character and also going down to a different choice, really mixing it up.
Yeah, a lot of mix-ups that now came into play with that matchup. I think the most competitive matchup that we've seen up until this point, NA included, which I think is crazy to think about. And we've only just started the semifinals for today. I think the very first half already gave us a pretty good idea on how things are really gonna go down. One defuse, one planned, something that we've barely seen in any of the matches. Goes to show you the executions from these guys, the strategy, the team play is definitely another league above of what we've seen yesterday. And unfortunately, it's still been that 2-0 sweep coming in from Shida and these guys. But once again, I think heads off to Gargot and his squad. Definitely not going out without a fight. Amazing executions from these guys, time and time again, making sure they get onto WhatsApp, be crypt, and as you've said as well, right, Apex, such an important character. The only thing that I was kind of missing in the end there, because you said it as well, right, they were kind of switching around on util for the first time as well. Where's the smokes? I think almost every single time they either lost the guy that planted the decryptor or almost lost him because there just wasn't enough space, not enough utility to cover. And I think just one smoke. Yes, obviously, you cannot lose another gadget because you pick it, but maybe just one smoke after that first initial plant or after plant scenarios have happened and you realize, hey, you just need to prepare for an after plant better. Maybe just one smoke could have made the difference. But unfortunately, not been the case, and therefore the quick 2-0.
I feel like we saw two different game styles as well. Like, Sheila's team was happy to sit back, Felix. We was a couple of rounds, we didn't really get kills until 40 seconds remaining. Very late minute, very last minute push in, get the plant, then get the extra time. And they knew how to isolate Michael. Michael was such a big impact, though, the game before. We got to watch him. Gargo's team was insane. He was roaming, but this time, unable to do it. They had a game plan against him. They isolated him out. And it wasn't until round 3, actually, we saw a point come from him. So I even think they were looking at, actually, hold on, Michael might be moving his way around. We might be able to pick him up separately and then work our way. But for me, Sheila's team were happy to sit back, burn the clock down, and that explosive action in towards the crypt site warranted them. I can't take anything away. The first time we didn't see anything smoke-wise. I definitely think we see more smokes in the NA Invitational, especially on the first one. Again, the great video the guys have produced where we get to see Kickstar and Gunner. The smokes go down, Gunner goes for the plant, right? We've not really seen that yet on the EU. Is that something we might see in the final? Not quite sure. Let's go for a quick break, though. When we come back, we are going to be going back to the other semi-final. So there's lots still to play for. It'll be another best of 3. And while we go for a break, it's your time to get onto Steam and make sure you download the demo. But more importantly, get to PUBG BLINDSPOT and hit the wish list. Make sure you get all the information for when this game drops. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, though, it's the second semi-final. See you guys in a few.
This is one where we all go like that bottom area and I hold the window.
Or we're all main gate, and then
Yeah.
and you need to scan every one of these rooms, Dress, and then scan this one as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
I got it.
There's a shield behind this, which is even better for us. BTK, you're holding this whole hallway from like one of these corners.
The guard dog gameplay.
BTK, careful the lurk on this as well.
Side flank, but BTK Master is waiting for it. He keeps looking over in that direction, but hadn't spotted him.
And then me, Gunner, and Drass, we are making our way to this room. We have to cross in the open of this, but Suppress should be holding it.
I'm about to start scanning left side. Are we good?
You guys ready?
I'm nading this room.
I'm ready.
Careful, don't go in there. I don't see anything in there. I'm holding.
And then we have to clear this whole hallway. There's nothing really to play behind. If there's a guy with a shield, we need to use util, because like we can't just run it in or we'll die. Get a smoke on the crypt. Even if you go down, just plant the decryptor.
It's barricaded.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Break this.
I'm nading.
Are you ready to nade this?
Yeah.
Yeah, break.
Got one.
Good.
Nice.
I'm in.
I need a baddie.
Left is clear. Left is clear.
What's in there? My ping.
Blue zone nade's gonna come out, but we haven't seen Gunner be able to get in and get into a plant just quite yet.
You can't see from that angle. Come with me. Come with me.
Got bombs going down.
You have a Maddie, bro?
Yeah, here.
Just play time if you can.
A lot of work there.
We're good, bro. We're good.
Even though Venerated's the one that's going to come up with kills.
Nice.
We got it. We got it, bro. We're good. We're good.
You guys
So
understand?
mine is low.
On the right. Come here. God damn, shit. How are you losing that? Jesus, that's sad. Get a fucking trip. You need to go get a job, Venerate. You're holding it.
Oh my god.
Welcome back into the PUBG BLINDSPOT EMEA Invitational. Semi-final 1 is done and dusted as Team Shilla will progress through to the grand final, and we will find out next up at who their opponents will be as 10,000 Days takes on Pokemelodi's side in our second semi.
10,000 Days that looked incredible throughout our group stage yesterday for the EMEA, and you know what, Gibby? I'm gonna let you know a little thing, a little prediction for where I think gonna be 10,000 Days making towards that grand final. I'm gonna call that early for it, but my prediction, as we saw in that previous matchup, is sometimes not the best going into it. So I cannot wait to see how this one goes for this one, Gibby. Diving into this matchup, I'm excited for it. We saw great use of utility in that previous matchup, and I slowly think these EMEA teams are going to catch up to what I did think was a stronger region, North America, last night watching it. So hopefully my EU bias can return if we see these teams really step up to the plate today.
Well, we'll find out. I think NA was structurally better yesterday, but it is a new day, so we'll see what NA brings later on today. But let's jump into the semi-final. We're going back to Shopping Mall Whippet. It's going to be 10,000 Days and co taking on Pokemelody. So it's basically a team from the CIS region taking on a team from Turkey. So will it be an all-Turkish final, or will we see our CIS team qualify through? Remember, viewers, Haibuba is, of course, Habako, for anyone who is wondering. A very good side.
I was wondering, of course.
It is Habako. Habako, PWD, Klim, Retention, and their captain, Pokemelody.
That is tremendous. Thank you very
You
much.
struggle with that name, don't you?
Which one?
Pokemelody.
Pokemelody? No.
There you
Gibson.
go.
I can speak enough Finnish to be able to say words like that one. Alright? So, I know it might not be finished, but it has the
it's
same
not.
like flow. It isn't finished, but it has the same flow. If you know what I mean, it's got too much going on sometimes.
That is certainly a statement to come out from you. I don't know. I don't know if the Russians and the Finns would be happy with you making comparisons to their.
All right. Anyway, moving on, Gibson.
Well, with 2 minutes to go inside the round, they're all pushing in from this northern side, pushing through the offices as they clear their way through the map from section to section in towards the atrium, which of course you can see all the way through. And PWD and Retention look like they want to meet it as the front line, and they can hold a pretty effective crosshair Whippet if they want to.
They need to hold that crossfire just to deny this entryway, but I do like the fact that we're seeing the offense somewhat spread, but playing in close enough proximity to work for those trades. UTK will find that opening. PWD is going to be first to fall from that one, but there's going to be that very important trade. Klim finds that with that P90. Able to lock things out for this. Mankurt very much wounded at this stage as well. Not going to be too keen for that one on the Carnival. That hammer, very important, breaking through those walls, and if you look towards B, they can just barricade themselves and blast themselves through that double panel and get direct access, and leaving it all down to one player. Retention will get one. Says going to fall to that one. The Mark 14, so powerful, so dangerous, finding two back-to-back just like that. Advantage defense, and well, 10,000 days needs to find a lifeline to get themselves back into this one. 50 seconds left to work with.
Yeah, that MK rings out, and if you hit your shots, players will fall. 10,000 days spots out Pokemon Adoy, but remember, Retention is there, so Cyphus cannot necessarily focus on what's ahead of him without worrying about what Retention is doing on the other side. 35 seconds to go. One set of toxic gas left, a couple of grenades in the back pocket, and the grenade launcher, as Cyphus will use one of it of the utility. Another toxic smoke will be thrown, but all you're doing is choking yourself out. You can't progress through that toxic gas. It actually slows you down. 15 seconds to go. Cyphus will find a kill, but Retention's on the other side of this door. He'll step on up. 10,000 days will get one, but Retention finds Cyphus. Huge round for him. 3 kills. 4 seconds left, 10,000 days and a 1v2, and this one should be curtains, and it is.
Time is the ultimate unraveler there. Not enough time to get that case down, so unfortunately just had to try and wait for the unfortunate demise, and I think a very patient defense there from this side, just waiting on holding it best they can as we move into our second round here. Give me initial thoughts and reactions to what we saw from these sides going into it. I do think that we saw a great start from the offense. I do think that they're in a great position, but the defense played what I like to call the trade game very effectively, and they traded their way to victory when they had themselves that numeric advantage, as they do now lead themselves one round going into this last round of their defensive half.
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd like to see a bit better from 10,000 Days side is being more aware about the flank. The flank watch wasn't great. You lose one, you lose two. It ended up in the end of the round, Retention was able to pick up 3 of the 5 players, and that leads you to a horrible position. Now, look at this extension from Retention. He has extended it all the way over to the far side of the map. He wants to force attacking utility to be used if they want to push over to the map from this side. And I think it's a clever thing to do, right? You've got those barricades, 5 of them still in the pocket. Why not use them all in a way that forces the attackers to use what they have just to even get close towards the site?
Gibby, I'm very, very much intrigued. Just the fact that we see a buddy getting brought out by PWD. Those drones going to be able to give you incredible amounts of information, but this thing that scares me, that arm is not going to be the most ideal weapon if things get closer towards these close quarter engagements we're likely to see around those crypts. It does look right now, though, the offensive lineup is just going to be very effective, or going to be, actually, they're walking into what will be the effective line of sight for PWD to find the most effect from that. 10,000 Days still creeps around. I think they have the information, and unfortunately not quick enough with that bolt action. Shut down. The M4 is going to find that opening pick, and 10,000 Days' offensive lineup have a great start here on Shopping Mall.
Yeah, that's a great start for 10,000 Days. Now you can focus on moving closer and closer to Pokemon Adoy, who will see Habako getting flashed out of it. And here's the step up now for 10,000 Days. But that window not allowing him a line of sight to Pokemon Adoy, and Pokemon Adoy will use the automatic shotgun from Kayak to its full extent. Another toxic canister shot into the door as Pokemon Adoy will find another with that automatic slug shotgun Whippet. I will say this, I do think 10,000 Days usage of the toxic gas canisters is not overly efficient, as Retention will now be about to fight with Zez. The MK14 single fire, but it don't matter. Zez will fall at the hands of Retention. It is a 4 versus 2, and this defensive hold has been excellent so far.
It has been perfect. No notes from this. The only thing I'm going to mention, though, is they made it very difficult for themselves on the offense with those toxic canisters, and that barricade just locks them out 30 seconds. They still at least have the decryptor in their hands, and they're close enough towards this. Again, this is going to be the POV now. We're jumping on board with Cypher. This is what they can see. They have awareness of where Habuk is going to be, and they have to try and get that cover. Gas is going to be perfect, though. Chokes this one out. Mankurt's going to have to get aggressive, shut down by Retention, and it's going to be a lovely little two-piece to sweep things up. Gibson moving us on to a 2-0 advantage and map point here.
I'm really impressed by what I've seen so far on the defensive half by Team Pokemon Adoy. Now, can they do it on the attack? That is the question for them. Am I seeing a body? Are we getting more body play here in EMEA? The bolt action sniper, which is...
It's PWD yet again, actually, bringing out that body. You know what, listen, I'm not gonna knock it until we see how it works out, but we did previously see body play the last round, and it didn't really work out. It's, you know, listen, I'm all open to be proven wrong going into it, so let's see how it plays out before we make any initial judgments, Gibson. And, well, I've got a sneaking suspicion that's the pathing that our offensive team want to take. Gonna be a B hit likely from those pings that we see initially.
Yeah, and UTK is going to create the rotate, the step up. Remember, Fence can play a pretty solo if needs be. Toss down one of those motion detectors, use the M249 to mow down any opposition that moves it away. Zez, of course, playing on the roam, will run into Retention, who has been one of the stars of the show for Team Pokemon Adoy so far. Retention, of course, Whippet, you look at the weapon that is being brought, this still going to be the MK14. Has that single fire tap down to perfection, and if you can hit your shots with that gun, why not use it?
I could not agree more. It's just such a dangerous thing to work with, and the biggest thing is when you hear that pop off, it's going to be a little bit of threat. And you know what? See that pathing that we saw highlighted from the pings in the prep phase? Yeah, that's the exact route that they're going so far. It says might be the only thorn in the side here if they can, if they leave it unchecked, and it looks like it's gonna be a difficult one indeed. Oh no, Zed's not quick enough to draw, but it's gonna be Retention looks the wrong way, not aware from this, and that might spell disaster, as immediately he's gonna retreat further back, and he's gonna make things very difficult. They're gonna force them to chase him down. He'll tuck into this towards his corner. 2 players there, should be able to get himself one traded off, and they actually will find that the arm finds one. But he's going to find that pick. PWD gets 10,000 days. Advantage quickly swings back in favor of the offense here.
A headshot from a different postcode from PWD gets the advantage in the attacker side. Now, I'm not saying PWD use any of those recon drones that can be sent out, but right now he's being effective enough as it is with the weapon at the ready. Shield being used by UTK. But that position, this is what you leave yourself open to. Nade tossed over the back of it, and UTK is in a spot of trouble. Double nade, both through the single door, but UTK with the M249 will step up to the plate.
Double stack up nades.
Double stack of nades. Those are good, but it's down to a 1 versus 2. Sniper rifle up against a shotgun and a P90. This is not a battle that you want with an arm at the ready. The decryptor is cold, but Whippet, can he hit the shot? This shot is going to be vitally important. Cyphers doesn't have to move.
Oh, Cyphers doesn't have to move, but that grenade's going to force that movement. But no, Nade does not go deep enough. The Glock in hand. Wait, just charging around, but no. Cyphers realizing, I'm on collision. I can sit still. Let the arm come to me. Shotgun. Beat Sniper when you're up close and personal like that. And it's going to be 1 round back for the defensive side. Clawing their way back. Overtime or bust if they want to get Shopping Mall reserved in their back pocket from it. Gibby, initial reactions after that round?
You know what? I think that they bit off a little more than they could chew on the attack there. Like, on defense, I think that the MK combination with the arm is fine. I think on the attack, you're leaving too much. Now, PWD is not really using any of the utility as well, so that tells you that he's only bringing body for the gun, which, yes, can be successful, but on the attack, it's really important that you use the utility that you bring as well. And over we're seeing, what, 8 nades being brought. We've got the, technically 4 on Retention when you consider he's got a grenade launcher in the
Very
pocket
true.
as well. But it's a heavily focused fragging lineup that's been brought from the side of Pokemon Ladoy.
I'm a fan of that coming into the big thing to do. I want to see is going to be that PWD body, those drones coming out. These drones are fantastic at gathering tremendous amounts of information. Unlike Heinz, they can tend to cover an entire room, an entire area. So I really want to see those getting brought out going into it. We've already seen that the arm can be incredibly dangerous in a maps like this. Look at these long hallways, especially in around Pyramid here. You can just play around that and have success with that rifle. The defense though look like they want to set themselves up in difficult positions. Zez yet again on that solo roam off by himself, looking to have a little bit of success as those motion sensors begin to rain off. And well, that motion sensor double barricaded off with those reinforcements, with those shields, will get cleared though by that Hitchy.
Yeah, second aid will be thrown. The shields are still in position, but the opening kill goes to the attackers. Klim with the M4 will find it, and now you can move closer and closer to site. Habako will be able to open up that wall if needs be with Carnival. That hammer so effective at clearing space, and it's exactly what I think he's about to do. Inside of Atrium now, just has to hop up over that deployable shield, and here we go. Cyphus with the shotgun, playing behind the shield, but look at the amount of nades with it. They've got 8 that they can throw this way, including what was brought in the back pocket of retention.
That toxic smoke, though, is going to be a perfect timing. The moment they opened up that wall that was ready for them. Double stack grenades. That's going to clear that shield. Second one sent it for good measure. So much damage taken. And Cyphus forced out of control. But no one's there. They capitalize. He retreats further out towards the crypt in A. The smoke grenade goes out. But this might be an early bait to try and draw some attention in. 30 seconds. They don't have a lot of time to make things work with, and the tripwire from Cyphus finds it, shuts it down, and that shotgun now can get called into action up close and personal, but shut down. The decryptor has been recovered and will get planted. The offense now, 40 seconds until they can get themselves guaranteed victory here on the map. 10,000 days, fires off, shuts down Klim. Advantage right now. The defense has been neutralized. Back to a 3 versus 3.
Recon drone goes out, and that will get lots of information for the attackers. Now, Mankert is going for a flank. Retention's got to hold it with the MK. It's a trade, and it's down to a 2 versus 2. UTK with another one leading it all down to PWD. He falls, and we are going to overtime.
Single round shootout for victory here on Shopping Mall, but what an execution that was. A massive fan of that tossing. They lob out that recon drone, get information on that, but they couldn't win their ones. Everything came down to a single gunfight just outside the wall of that crypt, and they couldn't find success when they oh so desperately needed it. And we go all the way now. We move into our 5th and final round. Gibson, predictions for who can take this opening map. I'm going to put you on the spot for this one.
Oh, I just think because of the power of defense that we've seen on this map, it's hard to look past Pokemon Ladoy and their side. But they've had plenty of time to see these setups. Those shields being used again to cut off those rotates barbed wire, which, by the way, we've not seen a lot of barbed wire usage. But to answer your question, I'm going for Pokemon Ladoy. Who are you going for?
Oh, Gibby, I'm going to have to go the other way then. You know, you
Okay.
said that. I'm going to have to go 10,000 days for that one.
Okay, let's see. Me versus you then. Let's see what happens. 10,000 days in Cyphus. They're going to spawn on the side that is on the southern section of the map over by the the HVAC unit. PWD playing close to that hard wall. UTK, he fires towards this. I think PWD wants his PWD is heading around the corner, but UTK seems to know PWD will manage to get out of dodge, but not quite yet. 10,000 days is going to get beat down by PWD, but UTK will trade that one back. 1 kill apiece on this round. Cyphus now going head to head with Klim, but Klim got to be very careful because the one problem that you have with the P90 is that if you got players pushing from all angles, it might be difficult to do, but retention with the MK will get the decryptor down. 2 attackers with it right on the door of the site, but they don't have the decryptor, and all the defenders can fall back and hold it.
They can just retreat out of the crypts as well, and they can walk in. This BZ grenade's just going to fall on deafened ears. And Retention found such an important pick there. Made a fight out towards that cubby as back into a level playing field. That would be 2 versus 1 out there, but now the Cryptor is cold, and you just got to feel that they're going to walk into these setup traps. Retention This text out of fight doesn't find enough shots from this so far. BZ grenade goes out. Zez will get stuck in that barbed wire, and they'll hear that one all day. It's gonna be the aggressive one as Mankurt's gonna be next to go. Shut down, and well, Zez, his days are numbered. Shut down, and there we finally have it. Victory has been confirmed, and first map of semi-final 2 in the history books.
Yeah, and they take the advantage in the best of 3. They know if they win the next map, they are going through to the final, doubling their prize pool at a minimum, depending on what they can do in that final. But what a performance that was. But we're going to throw it back to the desk to break that one down. Mark and Falix, talk us through it.
What a game. Talk about one of the ones I had to think was going to go to the wire. I did put my flag in this one. I actually went against Whippet. I did think Pokemon would be taking it. I know I'm saying that because they got the win, and Whippet's going to give me raft of abuse after. I just don't know if they're ready. You highlighted the difference between esports gamers and gamers, right? And the guys that got experience, the guys top the groups, I don't think they were ready for the difference of use of util, and I really want to talk about PWD and Buddy, because yes, you got the sniper. I think this is the one map that with advantage. I'd be keen to see Felix if he uses it again on the next round. But the drones, the first time we've really seen the drones, it gives so much information for so long, and they took advantage with it.
Yeah, we said from the very start of the tournament yesterday, even that during the tournament, we're going to see a lot of changes the more people realize how to play the game. And that's exactly what we're seeing right now. More plans, more after-plan scenarios. And because of that, because there's more strategies that now get them to the actual crypts, we obviously have changes in agent selections. And one of which is exactly what you said, right? Buddy being used a bit more. I'm still kind of unsure on how effective that primary weapon really is on Buddy, but as you said as well, right, doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be useless in that regard. If the gadget can be your favorite thing in a round, especially in the crypt after plan, and that's I think what we're seeing right now. More changes in that regard. Same could be said about Zen, right? Zen suddenly one of the few characters that you now see more consistently being picked on the attacking side. We saw that last semi-final actually, but we said maybe a couple of smokes in there would have changed the outcome of the round. I think that's exactly what these guys took to heart. Now Zen coming into play is going to make things a little bit more interesting. The same could be said for Kayak. Same thing, attacking and defensive side, now using that champion to that advantage, because if you have an automatic shotgun, let's be honest, same with his gadgets, remote charges, and it does get to that after-plan scenario, you're going to have a lot of advantages of actually still winning the round, and that's what we saw, right? A couple of after-plans, a couple of after-crypt scenarios actually going the way of the defense, which is not something we've seen consistently happening before.
No consistency. Well, the first point does go on the board. Obviously, this is the best of 3, so 10,000 days have the opportunity now to draw it out 101. I do feel this side of the semi-finals could potentially do that. I think we might see this one go the length, not be 2-0, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they've got to make the changes. I think it comes down back to your point, the character selection. Look, we kind of know Apex is always going to be there. BZ nades are huge. They're getting used really well. Collision seems to be the go trend for the defensive side. We always seem to have a drop shot. We always seem to have a Heinz as well. This one felt a bit more stranger in the context of actually, do you know what? Like, we saw more Fence, and obviously Fence was playing into this a lot more. And we are seeing, as the maps get closer towards the final, Fence becomes a key. Definitely more of a key for me on the defensive side. But Kayak, actually, shotguns were really good. Look, that's it from us. We've got to get things ready because these players are ready to throw it down. Let's bring back the two amazing casters. Gibson, Whippet, take it away for game number 2.
Thank you, Mark, and we are ready to jump into map 2 of this best of 3. Reminder, if this is won by Pokemon Ladoy and co, they go straight to the final. If 10,000 days take it, Whippet, we are going all the way to a third map.
I would not be opposed to a third map in the slightest. These teams have been fantastic so far, and well, Gibby, I have to say, every single map that we see them getting played, teams are getting better and better and better, and they're slowly figuring things out perfectly. This is what I love from this one. This is what I love from watching a new game like this, going out to Gibby. I'm going to be the one that's going to put you under the spot time and time again. What's your predictions for this? Is it going to be done in 2, or are you going to go all 3?
I'm going to go for Pokemon Ladoy just for the run from the quarterfinals. You know, we need to see one team make that run all the way from the one side of the bracket to the finals. What about you, Whippet? You going to go for the favourites in 10,000 days to run it back with a reverse sweep, or do you fancy a bit of underdog stories too?
I'm an underdog story type of guy, Gibby. You know me, so I'm going to be joining you on that prediction. Done in 2. That's my call for it, Gibson.
Well, we will find out pretty soon. Remember, if you're just joining us now, this is PUBG Blind Spot. It is first to 3, 2 rounds on defense, 2 rounds on attack. If needed, we will then go to overtime. And if you want to try this game, if it catches your fancy, make sure to go to Steam, download the demo, which is available for free now, and get it on your watch list as well. And trust me, you might be looking at this going, I don't know whether I like this. I don't know whether I should try it. The minute you start playing it, the minute you watch a bit more, you're gonna get really stuck into it.
It has got its claws in deep to me, Gibson. I cannot stop thinking about PUBG Blind Spot. It's in my brain.
Dreamt about it last night.
That is true. I had a dream about this last night, Gibson. I was in bed. We finished North America last night. I go upstairs, honk shoe, and it's PUBG Blind Spot, PUBG Blind Spot, more Blind Spot. And so here I am, the cast more Blind Spot, alongside you.
Were you playing it or casting it in your dream?
A mixture of both. As PWD finds the opening there, the arm's going to be able to find 10,000 days. Shut down a headshot from that one. No waking up from that nap this round. He's done and dusted early.
Yeah, PWD hits the shot with the arm on the opener. And just like that, it is advantage Team Pokemon Doy, who are starting on defense here. We'll see the fence throw that motion detector deep just to clear a little bit of space. The grenade launcher thrown, that'll blow open that wall. Massive amounts of destruction and retention. We'll need to fall back to sight. Nade will get the kill. PWD tried to body block it, Whippet, but it didn't quite work the way that he would want it to. He's got to get back and get that first aid off, which has been pinged by their side. But look at the amount of space that's been taken by the attackers already, as Mankurt will finally give a answer of sorts back the other way.
HEs go out straight towards the Cryptovay. Second one and a third followed up, but to no remarks just yet. Numerical advantage with the offensive side, but they've got themselves access in towards B. A single blue zone. Oh no, the HE bounced off UTK. A single blue zone or smoke grenade should be enough here to get this case down, and that's what they'll do. UTK will get that credit. Case goes down. Damage done behind that shield. And looks to be just a difficult post bump for the defense to hold on to. Yeah. I can't imagine them get this one done.
Yeah, but we've seen so many teams turn it around on the retake already today inside of EMEA, and you've got about 23 seconds to get 4 kills and get on that case. And well, there's a double pretty quickly. They're halfway through the challenge already. Cyphus with the MK is getting pushed on both sides, but Klim will see Pokemon Doy with the shotgun through it. It's all down to UTK. M249, spray and pray, hold down the button, but it is a retake from the defenders, and it is a round one. Remember what we spoke about round bounce back ability? These defenders are retaking so well tonight.
That is an incredible bounce back, as you mentioned. We speak about what that is, of course. We often mention in matchups, in games like this one, 5v5 diffusal game modes, that opening kill can be incredibly important for teams to be able to find. It cascades the massive advantages. That bounce back you mentioned, if you're just joining us for this one, is a team's ability to suffer that opening loss and be able to bounce straight back into that one. And we saw that great retake, great opening round, and they now lead themselves one step closer to our grand final. Of course, if you're watching this, our grand final will be a best of 5 between these teams, really testing strategy and stamina. There we go. Got the word eventually there, Gibson. Took me
You got there in the end, as the C4 will open up the whole wall in the prep phase. As you can see, opening up rotates between sites, makes it easier to move from point A to point B. B, of course, has been the site of choice for attackers to try to get the case down, the decryptor, and that is because, of course, it's pretty easy to get at it with, but there's an external window that goes directly there. There's a door right by the main entrance to the warehouse as well. And 4 of the attackers stacking up in the early stages. Pokemon Doy will hide in the corner just out of Heinz's radar, which will give him a little bit of peace of mind. But I wonder what the plan is for the attackers. I love that. A deep throw of the motion detector by Fence to catch out the flank. And I love the way the attackers are setting this up.
They're just looking to get themselves access into this. Stun grenades go out in retort. Smoke grenade barricades off towards server storage room. And a massive Heinz camera is going to be able to give you in full insight and vision deep on the B. And Cyphus makes a slow rotation. Again, another Heinz camera, realizing that a lot of this corner is clear. just need to knock on the door of that barricade and get themselves in. HEs go out, second smoke is there, and there's going to be a plant going down. All 10 players still standing. Can someone stop this going down? Diving in through that smoke, followed up by an impact grenade. The Cryptor goes down. It will be a flurry for the offense. Advantage for them has been wavering, as now everything resets as that case goes down.
But Whippet, remember, getting the Decryptor down doesn't seem to be enough on this map. The retake potential is incredibly strong. 10,000 days, low on the HP. Klim's going to swing across, but he's going to get caught out by Cyphus with the micro Uzi. Retention now needs to focus the other way. Habako the same. They will focus this one, while Zez and Mankurt will keep an eye on the Decryptor itself. Retention steps up, does a ton of damage onto Zez, but his nade goes deep, and it's a 1 versus 1 Whippet. Pros don't fake. He's trying to bait the swing from Mankurt. Mankurt hops in. You've got no time, though, even if you get the kill. Mankurt with a sawn off, and it's a 1-1 split at the half, and it is going to be a curious second half of this game.
It is crazy. Getting that Encryptor down is just not enough, it feels like, to get things done for these teams. The retakes have been fantastic so far here on Warehouse, and I have been a fan of watching it again. Retention just oh so desperately close to getting that one done. Unfortunately, just falling short upon asking. Gibson, as we get ready for this one, how are we feeling moving into the side swap? As we do feel that massive bias towards the defense has begun to waver just a little bit, you know. We saw that yesterday in EMEA. We saw it be so powerful, so potent, starting the defense as such an advantage. It's wavering a little bit now. I think teams are beginning to figure out how everything works out a little bit better.
Well, that's what we said. Yesterday, it was very much frag-centric. Defenders were bunkering down on site. The attackers were going very direct. Today, we're seeing more extensions, right? We're seeing teams realize that the map is an advantage for the defenders. You can spread on out a little bit more. You can put pressure on the attackers from different angles. And we're seeing them realize, you know what? There's a reason why these characters have utility. There's a reason why there's special utility in these special moments on the attack. But Whippet, I'm going to ask you right now, is 10,000 Days team strong enough to win this on their defensive half? Or do you see overtime on the horizon?
Oh, Gibby. Ooh. You know what? I'm going to say this. I think overtime's calling us for this matchup. I just feel... Right, okay, Retention. Through the wall, finds that wall, bang. Massive opening. Locks that one out. And I just feel that maybe just like that, it might not be such an easy job. I think if Retention can have that success again, I think we might be on for a sweep here. As knocking on the door of B yet again. Haboka's going to be able to find that one. Mankurt's going to be next to fall. And one by one, they step up to the plate. And they're going to get put straight back down. HG's good, followed up by that BZ. Chunks of damage taken, just escaping in time. And this case goes down. Second BZ as well. Absolute mess of damage done. And it feels like it's all but over. As that Decryptor's down so early.
Yeah, but Whippet, look at the amount of time. They've got 23 seconds to get on it, but it's all down to UTK. Fence with the M249. Yeah, you don't need to reload, but you do gotta hit your shots. Pokemon Ladoy will go and scout. You know, he can give up his life, but UTK will get spotted. They know exactly where he is as the information is gathered by the motion detector, but the attacking team get it done, and they're now 1 round away from the grand final.
One step so much closer to doubling their prize pool and getting one step closer to glory as well. Bragging rights are just as important for it. So let's dive into this one, our very final round. I'm going to say this, Gibby. Looking at this so far, Retention has always been able to pop up and find massively important kills. Retention 2-2 so far today. Hasn't been the most impressive performance in terms of that, but impact with those kills has been so potent time and time again. Expect them to be a factor yet again with that MK14.
Yeah, that MK14 has been a huge asset for those Zen enjoyers over the course of today and yesterday. Cyphus, though, playing on Collision, has the trip mines that we've seen become more of a factor. 3 that you can put in different sections of the map, but as we saw earlier, Whippet, you've got to be perfect with your placement because a half a centimeter, they're too far to one side, and you give the attackers the ability to sneak on through. 3-2 split, Pokemon Ladoy and Retention will push from one side, the rest of the side from the other. Whippet, what is it about? There's something about B that these teams just love so much.
Okay, the big thing about this is B is just going to have that direct access point. You can dive into it, and the biggest thing about this is you can just... I think because of that quad wall, that triple wall that feeds straight into the hallway right in front of A, you're able to just get that control, and you can, from a safe position out in these hallways, react to that. Motion sensor goes out. That's going to be able to get that information detected a little bit, and they're going to be able to clear that eventually. They look to get themselves in this one. 10,000 days might be the front line of this one. Combination with Zez there as well. Holds down this corridor, out by waiting room, lurking by vending. Gas canister goes out, burning just a little bit more time, and a much more controlled tempo from both these teams. Realizing perhaps the stakes of this matchup, they don't want to dive themselves into it just yet.
No, you definitely don't. You gotta slow things down if you're the defenders. If you're the attackers, you don't want to take any risks, and well, retention will draw first blood. Zez falls, so those blue zone nades of Apex will not be effective at all. UTK playing behind the shield, but of course this is where the nade dump should begin to fall. But that nade goes way too deep. I like this. The placement of the shield Whippet is far enough forward that the blue zone nade and the nades cannot clear this position. Smoke thrown inside of B. Toxic gas will force UTK inside of cargo itself now, as Hibako will go and get the decryptor down. A couple of more seconds, and there you go. The shotgun from Cyphers won't stop it from happening, and now we got a retake situation for the defenders.
This retake has been effective time and time again. Grenade is going to be able to find one. Minecraft's next to go, but they don't have a line of sight. Cypher sticks it. Pros don't fake. He's got just enough cover. UTK is going to be able to unravel things with the M249. Gibson overtime has called, and these teams have answered yet another retake. Side swap is here. We move on towards that defense. Again, if our defense get the victory here, it is job done. They go to a grand final just after this matchup. They will be able to play for pride, for glory, for bragging rights, and of course 2,000 USD in your back pocket. You cannot complain about that. They get ready for this one now. 25 seconds of prep phase. Gibson, I've got a feeling, I've got a sneaky suspicion we're going to see yet again another play around this B crypt. Just a feeling.
Really? Really? You think we're going to see a B tech again? Never. Never. You know what, but I'd like to see an A attempt, right? B has been the site that everybody's expecting you to play. Try to throw a spanner in the works now and go for A, because you got that quad wall and a singular door that allows you to push that direction, and there's only limited access points for the defenders if they go for a retake. But Whippet, I think you're bang on. You can see Hibako is signaling out positions that he once held. PWD on the extension as well, with the at the ready. 10,000 days. He's got the decryptor. If 10,000 days goes in the wrong door and gets caught out by PWD, it could be curtains on the round this early.
Smoke canister is placed and deployed as well. As you mentioned, PWD just holds that long angle down. Cypher sends in that Heinz camera straight in towards B, getting that information, and it looks to be a very similar story from this. Playing deep inside of A, you're relying on your BZ grenades to try and choke this out. Actually, there are no BZ grenades on the side of our defense this time, so they're going to be relying on their impacts, they're going to be relying on their C4s and those toxic canisters deny things, and well, it's going to be all down to this very, very difficult execution indeed. Camera goes out. They realize up close and personal is nice and secure, and it doesn't look like there's any significant movement. PWD has committed himself to holding this flank down best he can, and those Heinz cameras just missing the player out in connector. And this is going to be the dive in now, as 10,000 days looks to be primed and ready to dart straight in. HG's followed out in that swarm combination with that one. BZ's, HG's all the way. This is going to be a util heavy execution, and it goes down just like that. Retake is required. And Gibby, I've got a sneaky suspicion a third map is calling.
Well, there's one BZ in the hands of Zez, so if you try to get on that decryptor early, you can have Apex have an impact from way back. And look what, he has it in the hand. Zez has that blue zone nade at the ready, and he's going to chuck it at the perfect time. Hibako takes 2 ticks of damage and goes down to 1 HP. They might just go for a second push. Cyphus with the nade will find Pokemon Roy. PWD gets the deployable shield down, but he's going to fall at the hands of UTK. They got to make it stick. They got to make it happen now. Another kill happens. hands, but Whippet, it is 10,000 days. They take the map win. We are going to need 3 to separate these two sides.
All 3 maps in here in semi-final number 2, and it is a absolute joy to watch this one go the distance. You already know the team in our grand final already licking their chops at this one. More opportunity to see what exactly they're up against from this. But Gibby, UTK, 7 kills on an individual basis, massive individual performance. We saw that with MT49 as well, being able to make things work. What a matchup we saw from these sides. I hope map 3 delivers on that level.
Well, map 3 will not be too far away, but we're going to throw this one back to the desk to break down map number 2 on Warehouse. We'll be back on your screens, though, in a few minutes.
What did we just watch, though? Perfection of util decrypt, perfection of util and in the plant. Insane game. The only thing that I really want to talk about, especially from 10,000 Days, there's only two characters. Drop down is guaranteed and Apex is guaranteed. Apart from that, they seem to be changing the characters based upon the results and what's happening in the game. That's a real big change for me, FedEx, because so far before this, we've seen the same characters, give or take, maybe 1 or 2 change. And actually, sorry, Fence is in there as well. Fence, the new character, they're kind of guaranteed most of their like, you guys are playing these 3, the rest of us will change depending on what's going on in the map.
Yeah, great points from you, Mark. I think it's really interesting because up until this point, I would have said that usually the teams that don't need to change as much should be the ones that usually are more prepared, right? Because they've got their agents down, they know how to combine these. And up until this point, this is what I also would have said. Pokemon they should be going into this with a big advantage. They're not changing around as much. They kind of feel like they've figured things out. But then again, well, I think we've got to a point pretty fast where if you don't change stuff mid-round, mid-match, mid-side even, it's going to get figured out pretty fast of what you're playing for, what you can expect. Even counting utility mid-game is surely a thing by now, and as long as that happens, and as long as that can happen, because you're not changing things around, I think that's going to work against you in the long run as soon as the strategy evolves to the degree that we already have it right now. And it's interesting, right? All of these teams now seem to have figured out the utility play. I mean, this is the first execute now that we've not only seen really good utility being thrown, but also all of the utility in general. We've seen blue zone grenades, we've seen smoke grenades, we've seen gas grenades, and we've seen legitimately barricades being thrown mid-decrypt. So legitimately, I don't think there's been a single utility that hasn't been used in some of these executes. That's how far we've gotten just from yesterday. So I think great place all around. I think it really shows you EU has learned a lot from yesterday, and these guys are evolving at a speed that I didn't imagine happened to be the case today.
It's interesting to see as well. I know we've got a bit of sound audio coming through from the replay, which we need to keep on because it is insane. Let's talk util more. You mentioned Blue Zone Age, right? But from Pokemon side, mate, they only picked Apex twice, okay? And we went to the wire. If they had Blue Zone Nades at the end, they could, like, here, primary example, launch the Blue Zone Nade, that completely blocks off that door. If you get it in the corner, it could potentially block off too. I think that's the difference. I think they're dropping the ball when it comes to the util. They're selecting based upon maybe characters they like. I think Apex is a guaranteed character you have to have in, and the Blue Zone Nades might have changed the outcome, and it might have punched their ticket to the final.
Look, I'd love to agree with you, but at the same time, I don't even feel like that was the reason why they lost this game. I thought that they played it perfectly. They realized, okay, the last 3 times does execute happen against these players, against that specific team, they're throwing out everything they have. And they did. Gas grenades, smokes, blue zones, almost everything apart from the very last blue zone that we saw right there that delayed a little bit, was thrown immediately, even before the crypt has been planted. And then look what they did in return. They just said, let's not even touch this. Let's not be in any choke points whatsoever. They haven't taken a single bit of damage until the crypt actually was taken and it was planted. So they kind of read that in a really nice way. So they went into this with not only the utility advantage, but also the HP advantage in this initial retake scenario. If they still lost it, I feel like it wasn't even down to blue zone grenades or anything else. It was just about covering and losing the aim fights. They had a barricade down on top of the decrypt, and they still managed to lose it, despite being a 5-on-5 retake. So I feel like ultimately they can only blame themselves.
Well, let's kick Gibson and Whippet to the curb. Why? Because I want some of the action, Felix. This, though, is going to be a decider map, though. And we have to get things kicked off, though. Obviously, Polaroid will be on this side of the defensive kickoff, though. 10,000 days, obviously, will be back on the offensive side. I think it's key to look at U2 again. Yet again, as we mentioned before, Apex is not in the vocab of this team. They are going for different style of util. I do want to highlight Zen. Smoke launchers being used to effect, and PWD opting to go for the drones again. This is dangerous.
Look at this though, PWD and Klim, they're setting themselves up very aggressive stances here towards the west-hand side, and they might just creep Zags on the other side. Look, they're immediately destroying the door. Zags is on the outside. It's a 2v1, but they fall back just in time. But I'm saying just in time, they actually will get taken out. Zex is going to pick that one up, but they have the 2v1 advantage. They very clearly tried to go for the trap, so I'm very confused on why they fell back so early, but that's going to be mad advantage on the side of 10,000 days. And starting like this on the attacking side, actually, it's going to be a massive, massive advantage going into the side.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? They've just completely annihilated the opportunity for them to get those drones out and get information through. Now, 10,000 days, they stack themselves up. There goes the use of the gas. They're looking to go for that clear and B. Here comes the dump of the util. But the defensive Toxic, well, it puts some damage on. Is it going to be enough? It's 4 apiece at the moment.
They gotta be careful though, because the smokes are gonna be fading any seconds. They haven't got the crypt down. That's a good shot. Cyphers, he knows exactly where he is through the smoke. He bookeyes that to trade though. But Zach still brings back another frag before being traded out by Klim, and that brings it back to a 2v2. And suddenly, this is everyone's game. I think there's a medkit close to Hibuka. Yes, so Klim put it down. That's going to bring it back to 100 HP, almost 100 HP, meaning they've got the HP advantage. That Nathan might bring things back. Crypt goes down. Hibuka still finds him. He looks for the second one. He does it as well. And 10,000 days just like that falls to the ground. And the first round, despite the man advantage very early on, is going to go the way of Pokemon in his squad. That's a good turnaround and one they desperately needed.
Strong turnaround, strong reinforcement that Drop is got the M4 in hand. He did swing there, Felix, but didn't quite catch the player on the plant. Obviously, they could hear the sound cues. They were looking to try and get rid of that during the plant, but it didn't quite work out. But the M4 from Drop Down delivered again. Here comes the selection from the guys. PWD Teasnas as he flashes the characters, but defaults back to Buddy there at the bottom. No change really from the others. Let's see if PW can keep himself up and ensure that the util is getting used here for match number 2.
Preparation phase again. It's going to be really important for them to get that second round on the board. I think with what they've just witnessed at the start of the last round, I don't think they appreciate a scare like this again. So maybe a little bit more passively this time around. A lot of reinforcements being done now. Might just give us the indication again, this is what they've played up until this point. Reinforce one side, rotate to the other. That this is not the side that they want to stack. But I gotta eat my words because TBOD still wants to be really aggressive on that B side of things. Almost destroying the wall again. I think he's just waiting for the first initial contact. And as soon as that wall is destroyed, he might get a clear shot to get a first initial pick with Buddy. But look at this, he's falling back with the AWM, so he might not actually get that first contact.
He holds the angle, right? He's looking for the spawn peak, right? And there's a couple of opportunities. There's a couple of areas you can do it. For those that have played it, if you haven't already, get it downloaded already on Steam. Get yourself on Steam, go to PUBG BLINDSPOT demo, hit the download. There's a couple of spawn peaks, and Buddy is a great character for that. It gives you the length, it gives you the distance to be able to pick him up, and oh my god, he put 10,000 days down. Okay. A prime example. Look at the distance there, FedEx. He was able to deliver. Now it goes back in the favour of them. D4's looking to go for 2-0, but they got to keep cool, calm, and collected because 10,000 days, the team itself is able to stack up and overload these crypt sites.
That's a crazy first pick. What a shot. I mean, that's got to be a pixel-perfect shot, to be honest, to take him down. I think he must have barely just about seen him. A couple of more grey shots now being taken through the wall. Pokemon actually spots out Cyphers. He's backed against the corner, but he still somehow manages to return a couple of shots. Pokemon still hasn't lost HP, though, so it's all good. As once again, they have found that first initial pick with the Buddy character to, I think, everyone's surprise. Pokemon does get spotted out here. Nate doesn't touch him, though. Doesn't even destroy the wall, so he's still somewhat safe. But once again, contacts all around now. They got to be careful. Klim on the other side now. Here's a couple of shots right next to him as well.
It's all sound cues at the moment. They're looking to try and overload at the moment. A little bit
Oh,
of
no.
1v1 battles, but the guys are stacking nades. Come through. Blue Zone, double stack on the Blue Zone nade. Nade comes through, and he catches it. PWD will fall. Second is forward as well. Back will go down. Now they're looking for the overload on B, but I don't think they've quite catching the cross shot. But it's a 2 versus 1, and it's falling apart. The MK is holding them together, but not for much more. Final player will now remain.
There is still chances. There's still chances in here. He's got 2 impact grenades. Look at the HP. Even one right across the door from him will probably secure him a frag right away. I think it's doable, actually. I think he's doable. He picks up the first one. Just one shot needed. He can't seem to hit it. Now he does. He switches to the secondary. How the hell does he do this one? And suddenly he's on a 3-kill streak, and it's just one player left standing, but UTK's got the angle, and he takes him down. That's 1-1 just like that, but oh my goodness. They did lose the first round, but they lose a round like this? I mean, that's got to be surprising to them as well.
Insane.
I mean, how the hell have they thrown this one?
Insane. That was all UTK. UTK so far has not come away from fence, has getting those motion detections down, and you can see it. Unfortunately, who's standing on it, attention's like, oh my god, there's nothing left to do. Where is this player remaining? I know they were using a deployable shield as a defensive, but it actually played for the offensive side there. You couldn't quite figure out exactly where the final player was, and he was exposed. Bleeped, pinpoint accurate shots though, and it will bag it to 1 versus 1.
Great stuff. Once again, it's showing us that the original thought of defense being way more advantageous is now falling apart piece by piece. The more people, the more players the more they're figuring out how to play the attacking side, or to actually get to the crypts, the more that kind of power dynamic changes. And I think that's a really interesting topic now for the grand final as soon as we get to it. Once again, be reminded, this is just the semi-final. These teams already have secured themselves quite a bit of money, but the big lion's share of the prize pool, just shy of $7,000 is going to be handed out in the finals at this Stream Invitational. And before we get into that one, we still have one more match to go, which is exactly the one we're looking at right now. Second half's now started, and so far no contact.
Interesting. Main change for here, though, is PWD going from Buddy now to Apex, picking the BZ nades up as well. So you can't have a team without Apex. It's kind of like the guaranteed locked in at the moment. This team obviously trying new things. Here comes the opportunity to move their way through. Now, for those that don't, obviously, the team that's on the defensive side is going to see PWD bashing away at the shield that's being used to stop. Now, say, Satan watching 0 sound cube. PWD needs to cover the angle. Looks for the pick. Goes for the pre-fire. Catches a great. Down to HP. There comes the grenade coming through. Not getting a connection. Looking to get across, but he jumps over. Look, information gained. Nothing just lost. Look, he needs to get a med on. Has the opportunity to get back to site and ensure to get the health back up.
That's crazy. That's crazy that he's still standing. And it's crazy that he almost got taken down. Like, how did PWD do that? And he hits him to the wall again. It almost takes him down. Retention, though, picks up the work for him, takes down 10,000 days, and suddenly it does seem to fall apart quite a bit. Another good nade against Fence, aka UTK. And even Xaz should now be taken down. This is falling apart piece by piece. Everyone is getting a piece of the action here. Everyone's finding frags, and it's a 2v5.
This is what it is going to be down to. I like that the guys are now overloading. PWD jumps his way through to the next one. There goes the blue zone nade that we spoke about as they try and block off a bit of A. There's the whole nice push up though, but it gets 2! The shotgun swings round. The P90 will deliver a punch though, and they are running their way through. It's clean. They tried to overload, but 10,000 guys, unfortunately, we're going to fall though. Round number 4 though, as we are going to work our way back into this 2-1 on the favour of Polymoto.
Great stuff. Almost fell apart in the end. Collision is always good for a quick clutch. To be honest, we've seen this happen once before. Gargoyle was the one, unfortunately, now eliminated the UK squad.
No,
was the one to do it. To my relief, because they were the ones to take down the German squad. You know, Mark, it had to equal itself out.
Not on penalty shootouts as we said. Let's get things swatched back over though. On the defensive, looks like we are getting a collision. No main change. UTK is the one to watch for me. Has this character down, has Fence down to pin point accurate. They get the barricades. They are going to reinforce now the crypt sites. They want to try and stop and narrow in the entry points. But we can see the guys are a little bit more spread down on the other side. They got a Roma. It will be a 3 versus 1 if they do clutch. And definitely for me, this team here, Felix, kind of favors this 3-2 combo where they kind of got two. I don't want to say roaming because it's not quite like a Michael roam. It's kind of a dangerous duo, but they like the 3. So I like these guys want to keep close as a team. And I like this kind of split. Has been working out. Let's see if they can deliver.
Xerxes in the first contact. Just one round now being needed by Pokemon and his squad to close things out, to advance to the grand finals. I think that's where they belong as well. I gotta be honest. My prediction still stands. I think these guys are just a tiny bit more consolidated, a tiny bit more structured. And that's a good first push now towards the west-hand side. Pushes says back. There's no Fnatic on that squad, meaning... I'll eat my words. There is a Fnatic on that squad, so potential for Xerxes to fall back and grab himself a medkit is there. But on the other side, doesn't even matter potentially days. And that is 10,000 of that. He's going to find a first entry. Quick entry at that. No one there to trade. They've all fallen back now. They want to rely on this first entry. Look at this. They're stacking A and B. And that's going to make it tough for another entry being found for the attacking side.
Yeah, trying to find which way in. No, Klim using the M4. That's the gun. That's the util drop-down's ability to fire close, but also give the distance. There goes out the motions. UTK again ensuring being one of the key players. A little bit of a breach as they do crawl their way around, do get some information as they peek their way through. PWD looking for the position. The nade will clear out the reinforcements now as the smoke will go through into the middle. Doesn't quite get the distance though that they want on it, but it will at least hold a defensive line, I believe, as the rest of the guys have to reload. 37 seconds left on the clock. Great blue zone nade. It's going to trap him, and PWD delivers. This is why you need Apex.
And Pokemon might just find himself another one as well. P90 in hand. Gibson's favorite weapon strikes true once more. And they will find the frag to make it 3-3. 10,000 days is there, though. That's where the all-rounder, I've called him the all-rounder, really is. Shines, good distance. Even UTK chimes into the mix. And he's still left standing. 2v1. Pokemon he's taken down to just about half HP. He tries to get the decryptor down, but I'm not sure how it's supposed to happen. It does actually. But no, it doesn't in time. Never mind me. 2-2 is going to be the scoreline. That was just about enough time. But Pokemon couldn't do it in the end. And look at it. It's an equalized scoreline once more. Well, Mark, I might have to eat my words. I thought Pokemon was going to win this round. I'm not so sure about that anymore.
10,000 days, I think it got the game plan. They know how they're playing. They're figuring out where they're going a 3 or they're a 2. And if they're fighting a 2, they overload, right? UTK, look, I know not obviously showing up on the top kills. I just feel like that is a key character at the moment. I'm surprised that we're not seeing a Heinz on Pokemon's side. We're not seeing the ability to go through. They've lost the opportunity to gain information. Apex, though, came in late. I do like they're using Kayak. Look, this shotgun, the automatic shotgun is going to be huge, especially from the defenses, but we are going down to the wire. It's a 2-2 apiece. This is the deciding if they can get it delivered. They'll be punching their ticket on the way through.
Starting the game now. For the very last time, it's 2 minutes 15 to find an answer on who's going to advance to the grand finals. Ladies and gentlemen, be reminded we're going to have that grand final matchup. It's going to be a best of 5 right afterwards, so just going to be a tiny break. And then the action is going to resume, so no time to waste. And I think it's going to be, at least based off of everything we've seen, probably the most competitive game to date here in PUBG BLINDSPOT. The new 5v5 top-down shooter. Ladies and gentlemen, we're heading into the first execute of this round, potentially the last of this matchup. A side is what it's potentially going to be, but there is still players roaming around on the other side of the map, and that is really good for the attacking side. You can see how far spread the defense is.
How far they spread out? They've gone for all 4 corners here. I know Whippet said he wants to see people off-site, spreading out, but spreading out the whole map. 10,000 days will put Klim down. There goes the first one, 5 versus 4. Util dump now coming their way. And UGK had the sensors out to try and catch some of these Pokemon. A little bit on the outside. Blue Zone there's going to force them back now as they will dump their way through. Here comes the dump of the Util. The smokes are out. Expect the plant. They're going to launch through the nades. The impact nade will go through, but they delayed the plant. Now they're going to make the push. They get the kill back though as it goes 4 versus 4. Scrap that! The nade will destroy as it will go back into favor as the offensive.
Thanks, X. Really good pick up there as well. That could have been the deny, but retention strikes back. MK14 in hand, takes down Cypher's quick headshot. And just like that, back to a 2-on-3. I still say the advantage has to be on the attacking side, especially with how they've played recently. But look at this retention. Might find himself an opportunity now. Shoots a couple of shots. 10,000 days just around the corner. And just like that, both players have been found. And ladies and gentlemen, they will advance to the grand finals. Quick pickups there towards the end of this matchup. And that's going to make it 3-2. The comeback was indeed real. Pokemon are not able to close out this game. And look at that. He's the first one to disconnect as well. I don't think he liked that one.
I am out of this one. Oh my God. Look, we spoke about it yesterday. We actually said this matchup could be a grand final to deliver. It's 100% looking like it. For me, the gun skills, the esports, it was all Pokemon on the side. But 10,000 days, they had the ability to get the game plan down. They were able to adapt. They felt the difference on using the characters. UTK for me, oh my God, the util dump out with emotions was critical for them to deliver. They went down one, but they clawed themselves back to a grand final. Talk about a game for us to kick out Whippet and Gibson. Guys, take a break. We got this one.
Yeah, perfect example of a grand final that's now to come. I think if it's equally exciting as the semifinals that we've seen, I think it's going to be a good show. And as you said as well, I think everything that we said came true. Everything that we said on the very first day came true now in retrospect, right? We said that these teams are going to advance and evolve so much in terms of strategy throughout these matches that they've played that we're going to have a completely different game at hand. And this is exactly what's happening. We have so many after crypt plans, so many decrypts now happening, so much different utility, more variety, impact grenades and defense, so many more agents that have now come to the mix. Even buddies now being played, where Gibson at the very start of this day, start of the tournament, even said that he's not sure if he's going to have an appearance at all. And now everything's changed. Everyone's kind of figuring things out and try to evolve the strategy to have some kind of advantage. And it's beautiful to see. So, I mean, I can't wait for the grand final. And something also that has to be said, 10,000 days, the two Turkish representatives both made it into the finals here in the EMEA Invitational. And both of them topped the groups as well in the original group stage that we saw yesterday. So maybe that's going to give us a hint on how an A is going to go down.
I really like as well that both these Turkish teams have different game styles, right? 10,000 days, overloading the sites, running into the crypt, great use of smoke. Sheeta's and the guys using the utility to their advantage. It is going to be a clash at the top for the grand finals. Don't forget that the grand finals are a best of 5. We're going to take a very, very short break. When we come back, we'll be back in with Gibson and Whippet to start the action now. But let us know in chat who you think is going to win the lion's share of the prize pool. And once you've done that, I want to know that you have also downloaded the demo on Steam. We'll see you guys in a few.
This is one where we all go like that bottom area and I hold the window.
Or all main gate, and then and you need to scan every one of these rooms, Dress. And then scan this one as well.
Yeah,
Alright.
I got it.
There's a shield behind this, which is even better for us. BPK, you're holding this whole hallway from like one of these corners.
The guard dog gameplay.
BTK, careful the lurk on this as well.
side flank, but BTK Master is waiting for it. He keeps looking over in that direction, but hadn't spotted him.
And then me, Gunner, and Drass, we are making our way to this room. We have to cross in the open of this, but Suppress should be holding it.
I'm about to start scanning left side. Are we good?
You guys ready?
I'm nading this room.
I'm ready.
Careful, don't go in there. I don't see anything in there. I'm holding.
And then we have to clear this whole hallway. There's nothing really to play behind. If there's a guy with a shield, we need to use util, because like we can't just run it in or we'll die. Get a smoke on the crypt. Even if you go down, just plant the decryptor.
It's barricaded.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. Break this.
I'm nading.
Are you ready to nade this?
Yeah.
Yeah, break.
Got one.
Okay,
Nice.
I'm in.
I need a baddie.
Left is clear. Left is clear.
What's in there? My ping.
Blue zone nade's gonna come out, but we haven't seen Gunner be able to get in and get into a plant just quite yet.
You can't see from that angle. Come with me. Come with me.
Got bombs going down.
You have a Maddie, bro?
Yeah, here.
Just play time if you can.
A lot of work there.
We're good, bro. We're good.
Even though Venerated's the one that's going to come up with kills.
Nice.
We got it. We got it, bro. We're good. We're good.
So we want mine as well.
On me right. Come here. How are you losing that? Jesus, that's sad. Get a shit. You need to go get a job, man. You're holding it.
Oh my god.
Welcome back to the PUBG BLINDSPOT EMEA Invitational, and it is a best of 5 grand final coming up right next in an all Turkish matchup. Whippet, our first ever EMEA best of 5 that we've ever done together as a duo, and this is going to be fun.
I cannot wait for this one, Gibson. I am excited to dive in this one. The big thing to me is going to be testing how these teams handle that longer format. A best of 5 is going to test you deeper and harder than it has been in that best of 3. The big thing about this is keeping your mentality sound if you lose that first or second map going into it. If you go in that 0-2 position in terms of maps, you need to be able to bounce yourself back best as possible. But Gibson, the teams that we have going for this one, it's going to be a very interesting matchup. What are your initial predictions for who we have going up head to head?
I think Team Sheila have the advantage, right? They played one game. It was a 2-0 sweep. They were dominant in that matchup. And you look at the other side of the coin, 10,000 Days has played a very tough best of 3. All 3 maps going right down to the wire. It took essentially a bit of a sweep from them to get it at the end. So I think that this is going to be a really good one. I'm going to put my money on Team Sheila, though. Are you on Team 10,000 Days, or are you happy where you are?
Oh, Gibby, does it mean I get to take your money from you? Will you drive to my house and give me a crisp £5 note?
£5? I don't have this. We don't have that money in my country. Okay. I'm sorry. We do euros here.
Oh, fine. I've unplugged my headphones in the midst.
Why do you keep on? Right. So, guys, Whippet. Every single time we're chatting between games, so it's like, oh, my headphones have unplugged. Oh, my headphones have unplugged. Stop moving. Stop wandering around.
I do a lot of this. I do a lot of walking, and sometimes I wander into my cables, unfortunately. I'm going to go 10,000 Days to this one, Gibson. Listen, that's my prediction. That's my call going into it. You can love me, you can hate me for it, but that's my call. Final days for it.
Yeah, so if you are just joining us for the first time, the game is available now on Steam. Make sure to go check out the demo, which is free right now. 2 game modes are active as it stands. You got the multiplayer game modes of Team Deathmatch, and of course what we are doing our tournament today, the standard mode, which is
Demolition,
first to 3. Yeah, Demolition, which is first to 3 Whippet. 2 rounds on attack, 2 rounds on defense. First team to get to 3 wins.
Yes, it has been fantastic. I absolutely love this, by the way. This game mode so far, again, is you can tell, you know, it's in the lane of what we have in terms of 5v5, the Fusil games modes, but this isometric point of view and the characters that we have make it so intriguing to watch, Gibby. Well, it's time to get ready for this one, our first best of 5 grand final here in the EMEA, and it is time to crack things wide open as we get ready for the 10,000 Days versus Sheila. Who can get the victory here?
I am going to put my money on map 1 on Team Schiller. Map 1. We're doing map by map. Come on, we're not
We're
going
doing
straight
map
into
by
the
map.
best-
No. I'm gonna do this in the classic sense of just gonna do that. You know, just who's gonna win the series, and I think it's gonna be 10,000 days. Get that one nice and locked in. If you've been following us throughout the entirety of this weekend, of course, EMEA has been a evolution of teams and how they played coming in this one. We opened up on Saturday with a TDM to warm these teams up to how this isometric perspective tends to work out. And round after round, game after game, the utility game has got better and stronger. Everything from these sides have got better, leaving us with the two best of the best that we have. And who will be crowned your EMEA victor for the PUBG BLINDSPOT Invitational this time around as we get ready for this one? Action phase begins, and lobby looks to be the primary focal point early as barricades broken up.
Yeah, and look at the lineups. Heinz being brought by Cyphus. We spoke about the synergy between operating pairings. Heinz and Apex being brought by Cez and Cyphus can be a dynamic duo, but I love the addition of Drop Down. The M4 has been oh so powerful at mid to long range, and the toxic gas. You've essentially got three characters there that are incredibly strong when it comes to clearing space and taking site.
You want to get that space, get that control. And this is what I like to see from these teams. They're taking this grand final incredibly seriously so far. No one's rushing in. It's going to be a little bit of risk aversion. Backline rotations being made. Baron's been effective time and time again. We're going to be playing on that Apex. Apex brings out those blue zone grenades, which have been incredibly effective for both teams, attack or defense. Able to choke out, get zonal control. That Heinz camera, that red glow out towards A, is going to give you line of sight information, anyone in that radius. And they've detected that A might be a weak spot. Oh, CC stuck within that toxic gas, but just quick enough to jump in the cover. And that HG just dodging it. They're going to try and cover off that control. But that HE from UTK is perfect. That BZ hits the pause button. The execution can't arrive just yet. Another perfectly placed HE arrives, but Schiller gets that trade back. M4 is good at it yet again, and Zez falls.
Yeah, but it's a 3 versus 4 as things stand. 4 versus 4, just so Cypher still on 1 HP. Blue zone need almost catching the attacker in the middle of sight, but Baron will find him with the MP5. 10,000 days, though, another nade will be tossed deep, and the decryptor is going to be planted right in the corner of A. Attackers with the advantage now. It's all down to Schiller. Barely a HP to look at with the M4 a country mile away. But I think Schiller's given up on the round. This is just a this is a tactical timeout, I think we can call this.
This is just going to try and drag out as much time as possible. This is where you get to communicate with your teammates. And again, just waiting things out. So Schiller will eventually try for it, but as you mentioned, as that proximity alarm goes off, relaying information, they'll see that motion sensor just ping him out, and it's just going to be acts of desperation. Maybe look to get one kill for his own mental well-being, as it will be Manker to shut that one down. Offense yet again was fantastic, but the story of this one, I'm going to try and paint this narrative throughout this best of 5, is going to be the utility and the strength of those BZ grenades on Apex. That hero has so much potential just to choke out rounds, and it acts like a pause button. It denies that area. You really have to respect those BZs. 3 ticks and that's you out of a round, so you have to sit there and respect it with everything, and it's so good at choking out those plays. Didn't work for the defense this time around, worked for the offense, being able to push those defenders out of these power positions, and we do see that opening round going down, but again, a lot of activity at the end of rifles as well.
Yeah, so now we move to the second round of the game, the final defensive round in regulation here for Team Schiller. Whether or not they can see it out is the question that we need to answer. Zulu, a position that we see teams use to rotate freely between the sites. But one thing that we're not seeing is the pressure being put on connector just between A and B that we saw yesterday. Yesterday you'd have one player close in the corner of A that's just south of where CC is standing right now. They'd be in, basically their task is to stop players from taking control of connector. I'm surprised by how site heavy this defense is, because Tereskov is essentially the only roamer they have.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this. Again, Terrascurf's going to be alone from this, not going to be able to play with that direct trade, but the volley of utility sent out, double stack of HEs, just trying to get that control, and will force the defense back. And one by one, we're going to use those Heinz cameras to get that information, push in with that, and a small crossfire established at the bottom of your screen, just locking down Shilla and CC so far, and UTK has been so effective with every weapon that they've had in their hands, able just to lock down this long line of sight, controls this lane deep, and that vision all the way in towards A means they got a fair idea where things are lurking. The hammer from Carnival goes out, combine that with the camera for Heinz, and expect a swarm of BZs, HEs, and everything to start arriving, as they still have 4 HEs to work with, 2 BZ grenades in the hands of Apex, played out by Zez. Expect this to be a masterclass, but your Apex is alone, not there for the execution. This could be a little bit of a blunder, as Turbs will find that opening. UTK's first to fall, and the offense find themselves in a bit of a pivot. It's a great BZ goes out, catching one, and that's going to only exacerbate issues now.
Just about catching Mankurt. One tick, but Baron Peak, he's going to step around the corner. He finds Zez, and Zez will fall. 10,000 days in Cyphus now, the last 2 players standing. They don't really have a safe access into the site because there's a shield, deployable shield, that you need to vault over if you want to make your way on in. Shilla trying to get a flank off and makes it happen with the M4, leaving it all down to the captain. 10,000 days, but the M4 rings true again, a headshot, and the defensive team will level the sides at the side swap.
This is what you want to see in a grand final like this. Teams trading blows, learning lessons from defeats not so old. And we will bring ourselves back to that 1-1 standing side swap from both these teams. And we mentioned it, I think, you know, we saw it on the cast earlier. It's been a day so far where our expectations for defense bias maps have been shattered a little bit. Teams have been much more proficient on the offense, much more proficient with that utility and getting these executions and the decryptors planted time and time again. So I'm a fan of that one. So while we do see that pivot from 10,000 days towards that defense, no longer do I feel confident to say that they got an intrinsic advantage with that position.
Yeah, and it all comes down to the mantra, the mindset of how teams elect to defend as well. I think, yes, the attackers are getting a better idea of how to use your utility to clear space and get inroads in and around the site. But Zez going to reception, right? He's reinforcing off that door, which gives him essentially just one angle to worry about on this extended roam. But the problem is, and he doesn't know it, but we do, all of the attackers are pushing on the opposite side of the map. They're going for the more direct route. A will be the first site they come up to in this 3-1 split. But UTK's got to be careful with Baron and Shilla not too far away as well.
Ping's going out, trying to work out what exactly entryway they're looking for. One by one, they stack up. It's going to be a 3-piece, getting themselves access into X-Ray. And now, barricading off from those windows, forced to go through this, but luckily, Carnival, within their ranks, the explosive hammer gets them direct access, and they're one step closer to knocking on the door of A. They've got themselves a reinforced panel, C4 tossed out, opens that wide up, and now they've got themselves access. That's going to be down to Zen on CC with that grenade launcher, and look at this, everything lined up for this. They can't get through this hard wall, but they don't realistically need to, as they can't do a lot from this one. Double shielded up is going to be UTK, 10,000 days as well, but in the midst of that smoke creeping in, but you can sustain in the midst of a hellstorm of bullets. Cyphus finds one with that shotgun, but CC shuts it down. A flurry of red within your kill feed, and UTK needs to win his ones. The M249 opens up a salvo of lead, finding one, but that BZ forces him to a neutral position. He could do more. 50 seconds remain.
Need tossed deep. Mankurt almost getting caught by it, but still the attackers need to regroup. Baron Peak will go to the med kit, but he's forced back, and this eats up a little more time. So once that dissipates, he'll step up to the med kit once more to get the HP back up to as close as full as possible. With 30 seconds to go, things are starting to swing into the favor of the defenders. It's a 3v3, and now the blue zone nades will be thrown. That's even more time being chewed up. Entryway into A, not available. UTK with a double shield fortress set up with the M249. Steps up, but CC with the MK is going to get the kill. And all of a sudden, it's all down to Zez. He falls. The attackers take the round and Whippet. Just like that, it's advantage attack.
CC just with a quick 1, 2, 3. Left, right, uppercut locks down that round. Quick snap aim reactions with the MK14. Finding 4. Finding the round. What have we just seen? Tremendous use, but the big thing about that is not just a tremendous use with the rifle. We saw that grenade launcher be incremental to how they set that round up. If you think back to how they got direct access into the crypt of A, they used that launcher to open up that wall, not crossing into the hallway, which they knew was a crossfire. But you gotta look at that UTK double shielded up and simply caught with a one tap. Nothing he could do. So we are one round away from locking out our very first map of this best of 5 in favor of Schiller Gibson. What a matchup this has been so far. Is overtime calling. Just one map into the series, or can it be a clean 3-1 sweep?
Well, we will find out in about 2 minutes and 10 seconds time. All the attackers, that 3-2 split that's oh so prominent inside this game, pushing over by treatment room itself. As you look at that, so we should call this triage, but that's what we call that section. We'll call that triage.
I've never heard someone pronounce triage like that in my life.
Well,
but,
you've never worked with me before, have you?
Well, unfortunately, I've spent 3 years yapping alongside you. Access to MRI is yet again, and it's going to be the same path thing we would expect. Expect them to crack this wall open with either that grenade launcher available on the hands of Zen, or they're going to use that hammer with Carnival. Actually, they're going to use that hammer. Boom. Locked it open. Big boom. Access straight across. That grenade launcher opens up that reinforced panel. Met by a deployable shield. Safest holds out of position behind that deployable shield. Motion sensors relay that. And it'll be UTK to fire off yet again. That M249's been super effective, but can't get the job done for a second. As Baron's there for that trade. Neutralizes us back to a 4 versus 4.
And the attack is now getting close to that connector wall. You've still got Cyphus with that Winchester shotgun behind the deployable shield, but 10,000 days will find a kill as the defenders start clawing their way back into this game. Nades being thrown deep, 10,000 days with the swing again, and that that M4 doing so much damage. A cross now being held. You've got the M4 on one side, and on the other side, you got Zez with the MP5. But Zez is going to step up. Is this a big play, or is this a mistake that could be maybe being planted? The blue zone nade forcing CC back into the corner once more. He wants to get the med kit off. He wants full HP once more. But should Asnia be the one that's doing it? Asnia is the one that needs the HP more there. The second one will be found inside MRI. 24 seconds to go, but the defenders have these attackers shutouts.
Oh, it could have been a masterclass there. Zez will get himself traded off 1 for 1, but Asnia left alone against 2 simply walks into a crossfire. And that does mean one very simple thing indeed. It is going to be an overtime summoned here on Hospital, map number 1 of our grand final here for PUBG Blind Spot and our EMEA Invitational. If you like what you see so far, of course, remember the PUBG Blind Spot demo is now available on Steam. Get yourself downloading it, jump into the action. Trust me, it will get its claws in deep, and most importantly, get yourself on that wish list to keep yourself up to date with everything arriving in this title. I am already locked in for this one, and just like that, I'm locked into this grand final matchup. Map number 1 in the swing and balance here, Gibson. What you've seen so far, who's going to get the victory?
Oh, I think the defenders have the advantage. I'm going to go for Team Schiller to win this one. And like you said, Whippet, the game is available now. Tell a friend, games like this are best played with your friends, so you can never go, oh, the randoms didn't do it. Yeah, get your friends involved.
Or hear me out. Get yourself 3 friends, blame a 4-stack and blame a 5th. What a beautiful call. You're never at fault. You're never at fault as a stack if you've got a random as your 5th, just saying.
That's actually, that's cold from you. I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take that one into life, but Whippet. We're seeing the motion detectors being thrown out by Fence here, being played by Tears. These motion detectors, of course, essentially allow you to play this position by yourself. Sheila with the M4 gets into the first engagement, takes a little bit of damage, and now they know exactly where UTK is, but 10,000 days just a little slow on getting inside and providing cover for his teammate. Minute and 45 seconds to go, and I love the way that we're seeing the map be utilized fully now. Proper extensions from the defense to fight these attackers at the points of entry. But this Baron peak fight by Zulu with Zez could be a big one whenever it eventually happens.
Just waiting patiently for that fight to happen. UTK massively wounded at this stage. Of course, there is no Fnatic available from the side of 10,000 Days, so they're not going to be able to get that HP back as well. 10,000 Days wounded himself, and, well, that's going to be Shilla finding one, finding two! The defense off to a Stormer here, and Shilla leads the charge. Turzkoff's going to be able to get man-cuffed as well, leaving us on the 2 versus 5. BZ goes out, Cypher's the micro Uzi, gets one, but only to be traded off by Baron. And now, well, Hospital swings in the balance of one set of shoulders. Cypher's to carry the weight of his team, and he's all alone to get the job done. Decryptor upon his back, he'll make his way slowly but surely to make that pivot, but at this stage, Gibson, 40 seconds, he has to find 4. You'd imagine job is done for the defensive side. This should be the map on lock.
Yeah, it looks like Team Shilla are getting the win in this map. You know, we're not going to rule out Cyphers just yet. We have seen some huge clutches, but he's not even anywhere near sight yet. If you're on the defensive side, you wouldn't even mind sending one defender out. Sacrifice yourself, work out where Cyphers might be. Nade's going to get thrown. That'll clear one of the rooms, but Baron Peak should hear the footsteps. You step on in, you get into the crypt, but Baron Peak will get the kill. And that's it. Game is done. First map of our best of 5 going to Team Shilla.
A dominant performance indeed, Gibson, from that. I'm a big fan of what we saw yet again from them. Again, but big thing is going to be coming down to that massive play, that 4K with the MK14. The name eludes me just at the end of this one, Gibson, so I might need some help for that one. But it was an incredible individual moment. We saw that time and time again. I'm such a fan of what we saw from that one, and a well-deserved victory here on map number 1.
Yeah, big victory in map number 1, but still a couple more to go to get the job done. We're going to throw it back to the desk while they break down that game, and we get ready to cast game number 2. We'll be back on your screens in a few.
Clash of the Cans. I told you, folks, it's going to be going to the wire. These guys are not ready. It's going to be going 3-2 every round. That was really good. There's a lot of takeaways, lots to talk about. Look, a couple of things I want to talk about. Hines. Look, Sheeta did take the first win, but they're not using PWD. They're not using PWD. They're not using Buddy. I've kind of dubbed Buddy now as PWD. And they're not using Hines. They're not getting those drone images through. They're using other methodologies to get through. Can they sustain this? Are they comfortable enough to not have that little sneaky peek into a room and deliver maybe a 2-0? Or is their plan going to get found out? Because we know 10,000 Days in the team are really, really good at adapting to game styles and game plan, and we know they love a comeback.
Yeah, but it worked this time around. I'm not so sure it's going to work a second time around. It's an interesting question because, yes, actually, I'm a little bit worried about that as well. I haven't seen the Heinz impact that I'd love to have seen. Very few scenarios where actually the information she got off of it was actually valuable. But then again, something interesting to note as well. When they did play Heinz, he was the one carrying the decryptor. Maybe that's the thinking process behind it. That extra double check when they do get on towards the crypts, that they use that unique edges that he has, right? Scanning the room in front of him, maybe scanning the room next to it as well, to kind of give it a little bit more space, because what usually happens if you do get scanned, you're changing the room. Aren't you? You're changing the room.
Yeah.
So maybe throw out a couple of gadgets as soon as you are close to the crypt, left, right, mid, center, to order the walls around you. You've got 6 opportunities to do so, to kind of create a little bit more space between you and the enemy, and kind of create a little bit more timing as well on that initial retake, or when that retake is going to start from the defense. So I think that was kind of the thinking process behind it. Unfortunately, I think the situations just weren't really given to them. But I could imagine that's going to happen in the next game. But something else interesting to note as well, I think you just talked about Zen as well, being played on the defense now. For the very first time, I don't think we've seen this. Up until this point, we said smokes have to be played a little bit more. Boom, as soon as we said that, next semi-final, Zen is played every single time. And it works out in favor for them. As soon as they get on towards the crypt, the smokes do work in their favor, and very often we see different outcomes then on the after plan. This time around, though, on the defense, it being played now as well might give us a hint that he's going to be used a little bit more there as well.
I feel like naturally we're slowing things down when it comes down to the sort of plants. We use as much time as we can. We can't use any much more time because we need to throw it back to Gibson and Whippet. I can hear them in my ear. They want another match. They want to be able to get 10,000 days on the board. Bring it in, guys. Let's go. Match number 2.
Thanks, Mark. And map 2 about to start. And if this map is won by Team Shilla, what an advantage they will have going into this best of 5. But Whippet, it's the start of the series. You can lose the first map. It's not the worst thing in the world because you got plenty of other chances And if map 1 is anything to go by, we've got ourselves one hell of a series coming up.
You took the words straight out of my mouth there for that, Gibson. Yes, you might have lost that first map in the series, but it took you all the way to overtime to get that job done. So, I don't think it's going to be an easy day at the office for either of these teams to get across that finish line, Gibson. The big thing for me, though, is now that we've seen these teams play, how are we going to see the evolution of the lineup picks? Are we going to see them figure out, okay, I know things are going to change based off the map going into it, but are they going to have that moment where we're going to realize what's worked, what's not worked, how are they going to do it? But Gibson, time to dive in this one. The brand new map that's been added with this demo, of course, shopping mall in store. I've been a massive fan of this one so far. A variety of long lines of sight and very tight, confined, constricting, narrow hallways, making it the perfect blend of a little bit of everything.
I'm a fan of our Parisian shopping mall, but as you said, long lines.
It would be better if it was anywhere else.
Nah, never. Never. The sights, though, this time, Whippet, as you can see, we're a little bit further away from the atrium than we were a little while ago as you extend out towards kitchen. I think one of the things that Team Sheila did really well in the last matchup was extend out and make the map as big as possible. And it looks like we're seeing a similar approach here from Team 10,000 Days. Teams are getting braver. You're stepping out. They realize how much of an impact you can have on the roam with the utility you bring. And looking at the utility they're bringing, Whippet, anyone standing out to you, other than the fact that we know Cyphers should be somewhere around site, anything else standing out?
Right now, nothing really lining up to me. I think everything follows what we've seen from the teams across the course of this weekend, across both regions. Just to me, does look like it's just going to be following that evolution so far that we've seen. So, we're going to see Zez now a little bit extended out towards the office section of this map. This is going to be the longer line of sight perspective. He's going to be completely alone, tucked in behind blue box, just waiting to bide his time best he can. Sheila outside this one, combination with that Zendo. CC cracks that wall open. Mankurt will fall himself further back, and we've seen teams struggle with clearing out this one. Flashbang should be good. Gas grenade to try and get this one done, but they can't get that confirmation. Explosion's good enough, and Sheila's going to hold that crossfire. 10,000 Days is going to be first to fall for this. HG to control the rest of this one, but Mankurt, the pings go out there where he's lurking out in towards red, and they're trying to get that access point now. B and A are incredibly narrow crypts, and that flashbang going to go out, but not to any avail so far. Shilla's just gonna storm in, finding 3, Gibby. This round is gonna be his to make. It's gonna be CC to wrap things up with UTK, and it's gonna be a 5 versus 1. Zez on the other side of the map has to make a long rotation. Gibby, job done.
Job done. Zez is way off in Narni. I mean, still over in Warehouse, I think, at their hospital at this point. Long way to go back. He's going to run into his own reinforcement as he tries to rotate all the way around. And it's just a matter of when and not if this round is done. The weapon in the hand of Zez, the MP5, is great, but you gotta reload. The magazine size isn't the largest in the game. Blue Zone needs to buy himself some time, but look at that. The attackers realize if you throw enough people at a problem, the solution can be found in lead.
And it certainly was this time around. And the big thing about that is just going to be down to Sheila walking in, finding those picks. We've seen this time and time again on this hero, that the M4 has been a reliable resource to get that job done. Stick Sheila on this, and the combination of the smoke canisters creates this beautiful dichotomy of interest to me. You want to have that utility to use for flank watch, post plants, especially in the offense, but it's very enticing to be on that front line with your M4 because it's been so accurate at that close to medium range, and Sheila used that to prime example this time around. Of course, if you're joining us for this one, it's going to be a best of 5 grand final. One map already played in favor of your victors right now, the offensive side of Team Sheila. They can get themselves one step closer to that if they can lock out one more offensive round here. Lineup wise for the defense, things stay relatively the same. No significant changes. Fnatic getting brought out this time around from it. Both teams opting to bring out Fnatic. Of course, those medkits have been very important time and time again. We've seen across every matchup this weekend. Action phase, time to kick things off, Gibby.
Yeah, starting off the round, looking at the defensive lineup. Last time they were just blown apart by the teamwork and coordination from the side of Team Sheila. They were using nades and util to force players into a funnel and get those kills. CC already getting very close to 10,000 days. Sheila by the end of the by the corridor might be able to find an entry point as well. This blue box is where we saw the action kick off last time, Whippet, and it looks like this is the way the attackers are pushing from once more. Shield on the other side of this wall, more so for an external breach. As you can see, the tripwire is there as well, but the attackers with zero plans of pushing from that direction. A looking very isolated, Whippet, and I think if Asnia can get across here and join his teammates, Shilla and CC, they might just be able to flood these two defenders.
Azia plays an important role holding that long hallway. The rest of this team begin to work towards that map control. Zez yet again finds himself in a fight all alone. There's not going to be an immediate trade within that 3-second window. HG's good enough to do some damage towards that deployable shield out by Mankert. There's going to be a stun grenade tossed out towards the crypt in B. Difficult labyrinth to work with now. That smoke or that tripwire will get detected, and Shilla's going to step up to the plate, sees that shield, needs to win that one. It's going to be a perfect one, traded off. It's going to be UTK to get fall for this one. Or get one of his own. It's going to be Shilla who found that. It's going to be an absolute collapse now. It's going to be absolute slaughter. Give me 10,000 days, the last one standing. The offense have played this perfectly yet again. And Baron so tantalizing close to this one. They should try and play for the objective here to bait a reaction in. That's what they'll do. And while caught with a toxic canister, it's shooting fish in a barrel. And eventually they get the job done. Just delaying the inevitable, it feels like.
CC doing the smart thing, rotating towards the other side to get that decryptor down, knowing that B is a bit of a stronghold and the rotate options are not there for 10,000 days, who still has one toxic gas canister left. So 10,000 days, it's not done yet. You got to find a way to isolate each individual player. Create 1v1s instead of 1 versus 2s or 1 versus 3s. That's what your smoke grenade will be good for. But look at the pings. They know exactly where 10,000 days are pushing from. The MP5 of Apex rings out, and it's a 2-0 flawless attacking half. And Team Shilla just one round away from a 2-map advantage in her best of 5.
Then this is what I mentioned, though. This is where the deep water factor comes in the best of 5 position. It is a very scary fact to sit there and be like, right, we might be 2 maps down if we do not get our offensive off. Can you bounce back from that? Just the long road mentality can be a difficult one to shake from it, but it is not over yet, of course. They still have this matchup to go. But will we see a 3-0 sweep? The defense has proven to be a little bit difficult because of the compressed nature of this site on this layer of shopping mall. But I do want to say, if we have a roam extension out towards these longer lines of sight, holding out towards Pyramid, and you have a buddy system in effect where you can play for trades in that golden 3-second window, I feel the defense can be in a very strong position. We saw the offense of Shilla's side run with a pretty significant script of how they want to do it. They got themselves access way just outside the breach, outside the crypt of B, and they, or A, I should say, opened up that panel wall, and they knocked on the door ever since. It might be a similar story yet again. The spawns on the offense, all focusing on a more direct envisioning of how they want to take this one.
We've got some tech with it, by the way. There's a double shield set up in the corner of A where both shields are stacked right beside each other, which I'm curious to see what the defenders are cooking with that as we move in. Maybe it's just to get yourself a boost spot a little later on. You just see them. One's blocking the vent and the other shield is right behind it. It could just be to make it twice as much utility dump to get through there.
I think it's just like, we have a spare shield, we may as well double stack them here. HE goes out. Asnia will take the damage from that. CC will take some chip as well. Second one tossed out towards red. Mankert does get that combination. A great toss yet again. These HGs are buying damage, are essentially free. Mankert finds a second. Shilla gets too aggressive just around that breach. Mankert finds a third, and they just step up one by one. Charging in. 10,000 days got access straight into the B crypt of B. Finds out victory as UTK gets that credit, and very quickly Turs is in a 1 versus 5. And it's going to be a nigh unwinnable factor. Cyphus, just a little bit alone. Hasn't made that play yet to get that decryptor down. Zer's going to be able to find one pick. Might hear the footsteps of Zer's making a deep rotation all the way out towards office. Somewhat stuck between a rock and a hard place. Not a lot you can do here. Peeks out in towards that crossfire. Plant goes down. UTK will get that credit. You can't do much against that M249. And that's going to be 1 round clawed back for our offensive side.
Pick your spot. Hold mouse 1. There's nothing the defender can do to get across that fire line. And who said this was a defensive favored map? 3 rounds now being won by the attacking side in a row. And to break that, we'll see a map victory for the side of Team Shilla, or will we be going to overtime? Lineup is set in stone, but we're seeing Zen be brought out this time with the MK. That grenade launcher is so effective at opening up walls, and I think that we might see something a bit more direct from the attacking lineup, or at least they just want to deal with some of these walls from afar.
You throw to me as I'm clearing my throat, Gibson. How tremendous of timing for you, of course. I certainly agree with that one. I've been a massive fan, by the way, of every time that we've seen a Zen in play. I'm sure hope that was the point you were making, as I was zoned out completely.
No, I'm not going to tell you what my point was. I'm going to just make you make up your own point now and continue. Those are the rules.
You know what, Gibson? I do agree that your favorite sports franchise are absolutely terrible. Yes, finally, thank you for seeing the light.
Wow, what an original take. Everyone knows that I support all the bad teams. Those are the rules. No matter what.
So who are you supporting in this matchup then, Gibson? Are you locked in for 10,000 days, it feels? I feel like that. I apologize. That was...
Working with you feels like 10,000 days, mate. I'm not going to lie. As the first motion detector will be thrown out by Fence, giving information, an early detection warning for UTK as they swing around. That M249, as you said, has been really effective here on the map. Zez as well, pushing in on a little bit of a solo roam. But have you noticed the difference? CC and Shilla not making first point of contact inside of Blue Box or inside of Connector this time. They are falling back a little bit more, realizing how vulnerable you are in those positions.
Grenades go out, no contact found in terms of damage just yet. I like this in the defense. They realize they extended themselves way too aggressively around that breach, and they're not opting to try and fight for it. Let the offense burn their own time from this. The HEs go out, blowing open panel as best they can. Tur's going to be caught between a rock and a hard place. BZ out to one side, gas grenade to the other. Gas grenades crossed out to well towards this labyrinth. It's going to be where the tight, compact nature of this site is going to be very difficult to work with for both these teams. If I'm on the defense side, though, I want to sit still. I want to hold my crossfire. Let the offense come to you and begin to choke this out best you can. They still have one BZ to work with in the hands of Baron, but he's so far away at this stage. Might not be able to have an impact out towards the crypts.
It's a 5v5 up at 35 seconds left on the clock. UTK on a full rotate now as they push inside of Blue Box, and UTK now has got his pick of the defensive sites. He's going to go into B. Terscuff doesn't have the ability to rotate in, but maybe CC can find an angle as UTK is going to go deep and try to get down. The toxic gas just enough to force UTK off for now, and Terscuff will get the opening pick of the round. Cyphus now at risk of being flanked on the other side as UTK will get one, but CC trades Mankurt back. The Cryptor will get planted, but there's Terscuff to find the kill. It's all down to the captain. 10,000 days. He falls, and just like that, map 2 will also go to Team Shilla. They win here on Shopping Mall, and Whippet, what a performance that was for them.
One step closer to victory here in our best of 5 grand final, but that was a narrow margin. The offense were very, very good at clearing that control, but the labyrinth inside those crypts made things incredibly difficult to get that control, and it all came down to that late flank, that late rotation. They didn't have control on that deep rotate, allowing the defense just to be fluid enough to sneak through that back line and stop that play working out in full effect.
Well, 2-0 lead on the series for Team Shilla, which means that it'll have to be a full reverse sweep for 10,000 days if they want to win 3 maps back to back to back is what they need to do to take victory. But we're going to send this one back to the desk.
They like an underdog story. They like an underdog story. Back to back to back. At the very end, Felix, it's possible. It is possible, all right? But they need to change things up. I feel like they kind of get the game plan from the guys, but CC Nex is having an insane game. I know he's not getting the highest kills all the time, but he's putting on big performance. And for me, that team overall is pretty consistent. I don't think 10,000 Days has punched a ticket to break down this team just yet. Same. Muted.
Absolutely. And I think at this point, it's so interesting because also I feel like you can kind of expect how Sheila is going to play. And he's been having such a massive impact. He's been playing drop down time and time again, and he still has impact, right? It didn't change anything at all. He keeps on coming into these rounds with full force, with full firepower. And yes, same as CC next. He's not always the top fragger, but he's had a lot of impact damage-wise and position-wise as well. There's very few scenarios in this game as well where he hasn't been standing at the end of the round. So I got to highlight Sheila as well. Same goes for Carnival in the end there. A 3K with his agent. Definitely not the easiest one to get a 3K with, and he's already had a lot of impact, smashing down doors, staying alive. It's one of the biggest initiators in the game, right? Especially if you played on attacking side. He did on defense, so even more curious on how that worked, but apparently he did, and he held down his own. Very, very nice. So I think individual performance is kind of the breaking point in match number 2.
Yeah, individual reports is performing, which is very good, and then we're seeing a definite increase. I want to talk about increase. Increase is key, as increase in shields. Yet, not just one shield being able to block out an opportunity for you to get through, but why lay down 2? Look, I think part and parcel of this is about information. You've got to remember, if someone starts tapping the shield, guys, it's going to get that little yellow barricade, like, breaking down. They really didn't want the team breaching through there. We're seeing more of this util being used in this way. I think that could be a game decider at the moment. I kind of like it. Can they do it again? For me, I think the guys just need to go, hey, do you know what? Let's not play across this area. I think 10,000 Days needs to look at the opportunity and go, hold on. They've kind of got this position locked down. We need to reset. And we know one thing that 10,000 Days is really good, and that is overloading a site. I didn't see it in the last couple of rounds.
Yeah, I think also we're seeing, I think, a couple of new strategies in terms of locking these sites down in the first place. You just talked about very briefly shields and barricades being deployed way more and way more efficiently at that. And I think especially on the newer maps now that we're seeing, that's done a little bit more. So I'm kind of hoping to see that being implemented in some of these older maps as well. Maybe that's going to happen in match 3.
Well, match number 3 is going to come underway. Can we close it out, though? We're a 3-0. Will it go back to back to back? Well, there's only 2 wonderful people that are going to know. Whippet and Gibson, take it away.
Thanks, Mark. And Team Sheila haven't dropped a single map today, Whippet. They have gone 4 rounds in a row, 2 in this series, 1 round away now from that $2,000 prize pool. And they've got to be feeling confident, right? Because they have what 10,000 Days don't have. They have the ability to make mistakes now.
They've got momentum on their side as well. The wind's in their sails, Gibson. Oh, this is going to be a very difficult one to come back from. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to do this. Listen, I'm always a massive... I cheer for the underdogs no matter what. I'm always there for reverse sweeps. I bet against the streaks, but this time, I think I'm all in on Sheila to get that job done. Now, if I've just put the caster curse on Sheila, I'm sorry.
You've done it before. But Mansion will be the map for the first time today. We will see it in this best of 5, and it is simple as this. 10,000 Days, starting on the defense, need to start strong. Dare I even say, but they need a flawless defense if they want to win this game. They got to take these opening 2 rounds, or else you could start writing that check for Team Sheila.
Oh, a 2-0 start to the defense here would be incredible, but the big thing is Sheila have been very, very impressive when they've been on the offensive side. And this is one of those maps that I feel like if you're incredibly strong on the offense, you can have a massive amount of success. We've seen teams struggle to make executions, work out towards the crypt and towards B, and the question is because there's lots of long lines of sight, lots of deep rotations, lots of long rotations you can make. It's a very, not linear, I'm looking for, not sure the words to find here, but a long map, an elongated map towards this section where we see our crypts.
Stretched. We'll say it's stretched. Yeah.
Do you not like the phrase elongated?
Nah, it's too. You need to truncate that word a little bit for the broadcast.
Right.
But
I don't know what that one means.
Yeah, look it up. Well, but you got the reception area, right? You got the lobby, the reception area of Mansions here with the pillars, and I think that if you're defending this side of the map, you got to create a cut-off point, right? There's only so far that you really need to roam. Give the attackers the rest of the map for free. And I think that this corridor that Zez is looking at is that cutoff point that they are playing at. They're going to give the attackers everything else because they know that it's not really conducive to them winning this game. Now, if you're on the side of Team Shilla, you got to use the utility effectively, which is what they do early on. Zez takes a ton of damage, and you got to flee back to site now with it. And thankfully, they do have a Fnatic if Zez wants to get HP, but I don't know if Zez actually has a path back towards site to get it.
I'm very unsure indeed, given the big thing I'm looking at for this one is just if they can get themselves pushed in through this angle. And this is what I love about this map again, that we've not seen this direct approach. We've seen so many teams across the weekend go for that hit towards B directly. Zez in a very difficult position, as you mentioned, not able to get any access back towards his team. And just a very patient mid-stage now. Tensions begin to rise, knock on the door of sight, and look at this. A single blue zone, a single gas ray could be massive to have impact here. A pivot made, and it's gonna be Zez. Oh my goodness, everyone lining up for him. He doesn't even get a shot off. Baron shuts him down. 40 seconds remain, and the opening round looks to be able to swing in favor of the offense, but time is their enemy, and the Hammer will smash themselves access straight in. That shield's gonna be a nightmare, and the M249 can just lock this down. BZs and HGs, but UTK, an absolute criminal, sneaks his way in, but Shilla's nade is perfect for Safus, and it's going to be a flurry of lead, and Asuna is going to try and stick this. The cover needs to be good. That's going to be UTK. The reload's just too long. 10 seconds. You got to make this one stick, and pros don't fake, and they do not this time. All down to this in a 1 versus 4. It's going to be Kurt to try and make this one stick, but it might just be too much to ask. Could win his opening engagement and does so, as Baron's first to fall from this.
Yeah, this is the thing though. You've got yourself a 1 versus 3, and this is very tough to win. The cross needs to be good, but Mankurt suddenly makes this winnable. Asnia and Shilla got to play off each other's contact now in that corridor. Mankurt testing the waters. He's only got 12 seconds to get onto the decryptor, but Shilla's going to fall back, but Asnia swings on the footsteps, and that'll be the opening round for the attacking side, as they're now just 2 rounds away from victory in the PUBG in BLINDSPOT Invitational.
Caught you there. You're so used to the other one.
Well, I can say PUBG because it's the same universe. Look up the lore of the characters.
I know. I mean, this is a winner's mansion as well that we're fighting in. Just saying. I do my research. I'm not just some little guy from a different esports universe. I can do my reading too.
Well, according to the lore Whippet, Apex, who's been brought by Baron Peak, is actually a PUBG winner. They've won inside the battlegrounds, and
that's actually more battleground victories than you have.
Well, that is true, but I think that's
actually,
why
I don't
they
even think I can say that here, actually, because I know all your PUBG guys will guarantee that I guarantee you've got a few chicken dinners to your name.
But I think that's why they've got the blue zone nades as their utility Whippet. I think that's why, because they come from that background.
Oh, you're making lore speculations now. Is Gibson gonna be the lore guy?
Oh, Gibson the lore guy. Nah, that's I don't have the time for that. I cast too much to have the time to write the lore.
Okay, buddy. So, moving into this one, as you mentioned, we're just 2 rounds away. If we see these next 2 rounds go in favor of Shilla, they're going to write themselves a beautiful check for 2,000 USD and bragging rights over the entire EMEA region that they are your PUBG BLINDSPOT champions. We're going to be creeping in via Pillar yet again, somewhat similar entry point from this, and Zez, who has been somewhat of that lone wolf from every matchup that we've seen here. A little bit more towards the team, perhaps feeling the pressure of the occasion just a little bit.
Yeah, Cypher's not too far away though from the point of entry of Shilla. The shotgun in the hands of Collision. The Winchester can be oh so powerful as Baron Peak's position will be detected now. M4 in the hands of 10,000 Days as they just go past Radio Room. Medkit tossed down. That's kind of your anchor point now for the attackers. You'll fall back there and get the HP back if needs be, but 10,000 Days trapped in a bit of a corner. Blue Zone Nade forces Mankurt into a position where Mankurt cannot essentially help, but Zez wins his gunfight, wins his one. 10,000 Days will win one as well, but Asnia jumps on up. Blue Zone Nade and the Decryptor goes cold. That's a 2 versus 4. Barbed wire giving away an extreme audio cue as to where these 2 attackers are pushing from. Zez has got to be careful. Terror's Cuff gets caught out by Mankurt though, leaving it all down to Shilla, the captain. Nade goes deep. Bye-bye, Zez. You're gone. But it's still a 1v3. Every single defender Whippet on full HP. 45 seconds to go. I think you can write this round in. Oh, no.
Oh.
I thought for a second Just for a second, I thought that was
For a brief
trouble.
moment, you saw the headlines written on tomorrow's newspapers or posts on social media, perhaps. But unfortunately, for the chance that we flawless sweep the grand final glory, it will be one round clawed back. Opening half ends yet again back to a level playing field. Side swaps are here, and Schuller moving on towards the defense. Now, if I were to put my channel points anywhere, it would be that they can lock this one out here on the defense going into it. This has been a map that has proven time and time again to be incredibly difficult to attack. Often we don't see teams go out towards pillars. We've seen them mostly push direct, try and get themselves access via half wall out towards B, maybe pushing out to the right hand side of your screen to knock directly into A. But pillars has been a very difficult spot to get control, and the extended barricade going out by CC, who's going once again going to be on that Zen. Brings out that grenade launcher, and the big thing I want to say is, I don't know if the utility on that grenade launcher has been necessarily the most impactful on this defensive side. The MK14 certainly something you don't want to not have in your lineup, but it has been maybe questionable if those grenade launchers have had full effective utility.
They have UTK Whippet spawning all by themselves on the fence, directly beside the window that pushes you in towards B. You can toss out one of those motion detectors by the wall, and that will catch out Asnia pretty close by. CC, well, deployed a little bit of tech on the boost, looking up over that high line, and that could be a problem if you're not aiming high enough as an attacker. Manker will peek around the corner. CC fires off the first few shots, but gives up the position, knowing that utility will soon be sent this way, and Zen can be pretty useful later on in the game rather than giving up your life all too early, and Fence Whippet will get the first bit of information from one of those motion detectors.
Just feel the tension in this round a little bit here, Gibson. Just waiting as yet again this entryway from this northern stage of the map has worked out. No engagements just yet, and Baron, only a single soft panel separates him from potential flank glory. 3 bodies lined up. Heinz cameras are good. For a long toss from that motion sensor as well. That will relay information. Mankurt will reveal his position, just firing off a few rounds with that AK. Some shots just landing in the frame of that door, not finding their mark from the M4 of Schuller. But Baron boosted up here on Whiskey, just trying to hold the line best they can. 3 bodies on this side, close towards A. Opening pick though, CC finds it. Safe is going to be the first to fall from this one, and they're going to begin that mad chase to try and find that trade, but CC has escaped for this one. He might run himself into trouble and does so. UTK will find that trade. 40 seconds. Is that going to be the catalyst that triggers this round to dive in the full blast?
Yeah, M249 things out, but Shilla with the M4 will find the kill onto Mankurt with the headshot. Baron Peak being forced back by the BZ, but there's only 30 seconds left, but B is essentially fully controlled now by the attackers. UTK using the toxic gas now as a bit of cover to get that decryptor down, and now you got to get one player out the window, and the other one, 10,000 Days, will hide behind the shelf. That display cabinet. It's a 4 versus 2 Whippet. 1 player out. And this is where the utility of these operators. Oh, that's a great blue zone. The 10,000 Days is going to fall. And now all you got to do is cover UTK out the window. Pros don't feck. UTK with the M249. It's M249 on M249 action. But the defenders take the round, Whippet. And we are 1 round away from Team Shilla being crowned your champions.
We are on map, series, and championship point for Team Shilla. They are 1 round away from getting this locked out, and I really feel that they played the numbers game perfectly, but you cannot count out the fact that BZ from Apex, yet again, has been so influential. Baron tosses that out to the perfect corner of sight and is able to essentially guarantee the win condition for the round. Gibson, I love to see utility use just that perfect, and we saw it in that round. So as we get ready for what could be our very final round here for EMEA Invitational for PUBG BLINDSPOT. If you enjoyed everything you've seen so far across this weekend for this region, get yourself on the Steam and type in PUBG BLINDSPOT at your top bar and get on that download. Make sure to wish list to follow everything going, as this game has its claws in deep favorite here in production, and I guarantee it will do it for you as well. Gibby, action phase about to start for this one. Can we have our champions crowned right here, right now?
Well, 2 minutes and 15 seconds and a strong defense is what all that separates them from it. If not, if they don't win this round, they'll get another chance inside of overtime, but the attackers going for a much more direct line. 10,000 days by the window. The C4 will pop open the door directly into sight, and all of a sudden, B is looking pretty tasty now as CC will fall back as those high explosive grenades are thrown this way. You remember, if you're attacking, you got to get the decryptor down on the glass square over those servers. And Asnia now getting pressured heavily. He'll step across. He's going to find the kill on the Mankard with the P90. 10,000 days. Delaying the push will toss the nade, but the force of a reposition from Asnia will not be any benefit to 10,000 days just yet. But finally, the nade will get the kill. Two attackers on the brink of sight, but Shilla with the M4 will get the kill. But UTK with the M249 holding the cross whippet. The case will go down, and it's a 2 versus 3 for the win.
This crossfire needs to be perfect, locking that down. The BC limits movement, but they, for 10,000 days, opting to not play outside via display case as they creep themselves in a better position. Baron, you need to make this decision now if you're going to dive into it, but UTK with that M249 can lock this down. BZ not going deep enough, and well, UTK looks away at just the wrong moment, and he's going to fall for this one. Back to a 2 versus 2. 20 seconds until the crypto goes critical. 10,000 days plays such a key position. His line of sight is not quite perfect on that decryptor though, as Baron looks to creep up and get aggressive. No BZs to work with. He charges in, needs to win his one, can't get it done. Turns try to stick it, the LOS just isn't there, but time is going to unravel everything. And Gibson, it is time for overtime here on Mansion.
Overtime, and it's as simple as this. 10,000 days need to win this round. If they don't, it is over for them in this grand final for Team Shilla. Even if you lose this round, though, you'll get 2 more maps, 2 more chances to win. But what better way than to take the crowning glory than to do it on the attack? The attacking lineup, Whippet, it's pretty good. You've got your Zen, you've got Fnatic, you've got Apex, you got Carnival, and you got Drop Down. Every single one of them have vital utility that can be used to clear space, find information, and in essence, get that decryptor down.
Oh, I live for moments like this. It all comes down to one singular round. Your weekend for the side of 10,000 days matters down to this. One mistake, one overextension, one anything going wrong. Your weekend is over, and champions will be crowned. 2 minutes to decide who will be your victor for this one, or if we need a third or a fourth map. Pillars, the entry point yet again chosen from Team Shilla, looking to get themselves in, and they're going to stack up, playing so aggressively. And Zers, yet again, being that first point of contact. The crossfire by 10,000 days, though, is good enough to get some chip damage on towards CC. As Zers will fall back towards site, doesn't have access to a medkit, so stuck to fight everything with that limited health pool to work with. BZ goes out to try and buy some space, and they're going to capitalize fully on this. Grenade launcher goes out, long line of sight, straight into B is there. Safer still going to be in cover, crouched behind that, can't play too close thanks to that BZ, but it looks like the vision is clear. B is going to be a side of choice, but UTK finds one. Shilla's first to fall, and Shilla's been so important round after round, using that M4 to unravel everything, and they're not available when the team might need them most. 60 seconds remain.
Says on low HP though, hasn't made any moves back towards, well, can't really because they don't have a Fnatic. There's no way to get any HP back as Asnia, CC and Baron work their way towards site. Now you've got the long angle. UTK tosses another motion detector. Nade will go deep, clearing a little bit more space. At the end of the day, the stun grenades will be used in tandem, and now Baron peak steps on up. This is it. This is them going for the victory. Asnia and CC combine. Cyphers doesn't get the shots off with the Winnie. Needs to pick the right plant spot. The soft wall is there, but the shots coming through might not be able to hit it. The decryptor goes down, and it's a 4 versus 2 for the win now. Tears Cuff will find it. It's all down to Mankard. He's trapped in a corner, swings around, the attackers take it, and Team Shilla are your first PUBG Blind Spot EMEA Invitational champions, and they do it in style in 3.
They get it done in a perfect rotation, locked in 3. What a performance, and especially breaking the convention that we set earlier in the weekend, that you have an advantage on that defense. They look perfect every single offensive round. They've been fantastic, Gibby. What a final, and what worthy champions.
Worthy champions. They were the best team on the weekend, and as I said, once you get to best of 3s and best of 5s, the best team will always win. So we know who the best of the best in Europe is. But let's welcome back in our incredibly talented desk to bring down the curtains on the EMEA Invitational.
Might be the first for you. This is the second time for me in FedEx. That is a win and a half. 3-0, done, dusted. I want to go home, bag me some money. They had a game plan, they delivered it, and they delivered it actually without the standard guys. FedEx, they weren't using the highs. They weren't using the normal. They didn't even use Apex all the time. They actually mix it up. I love that they found their own game style. They have found the skins of the character that they want to play, and it looked good. Able to deliver themselves the lion's share of the prize pool.
Yeah, we said at the start, I think coming into this day, we expected some of these best teams because we were so used to it at the end of the day. Yesterday, right, with Super always staying consistent with the picks they had, that maybe this is the play. Maybe just get used to the ones you have. But I think as the more this tournament develops, and I think we're going to see that on the NA side as well, more teams are getting used to and somehow anticipate what you're playing off of. And at that point, I think it becomes a liability as well. And I think that switch up that we saw from Schiller, and to some degree 10,000 days in this team as well, has really benefited them massively. You not only get to know the champions a little bit better, but you also kind of stay unpredictable. So I think massive shout out to them. I think even Kayak was in there. We saw Esnia on Fnatic here and there being unpredictable as well, making sure the medkits work and stay in place. We saw Baron peak with Apex. You said it yourself. Not always, but sometimes. He's staying in the mix with the Blue Zone grenades. And I think ultimately all these variables combined gave them the 3-0 win here, and deserving as well. I don't think there was a chance for 10,000 days to get back into this one, I think, for the first two.
Do you know what, even when we talk about Apex, even like we talk going back to Baron Peak. Baron Peak is the Apex player for the team, right? But he also didn't always use the Blue Zone nades. He opted to go for flashes, and I think other Whippet or Gibbs, one of you said that actually we hadn't seen a lot of flashes before. I think we're missing a little bit of util there, Whippet. I'd love to see more flashes because it really does impact when a player gets flashed. Their whole world becomes this tiny little bubble, and they've got to try and play out of it. But we didn't see a lot of it though today. But it was good to see they were mixing things up.
It's nice to see teams have that vision going into it. We saw them utilize a little bit towards that final round, more of a toss in to try and buy zonal control. I don't think I saw anyone actually get caught by a flashbang, but the idea that you see that getting hurtled towards you, you want to back yourself away from that and buy that space has been effective. But I would like to see them getting brought out more, but you can't really critique the champions because they got the job done in 3 and they look fantastic all the way from it. And the big thing from me is the fact they use utility so perfectly time and time again. It's all well and good being able to shoot and get your picks, but you have those gadgets for a reason, and that's your key to victory, and they played that perfectly.
Gibson, don't know about you, mate, but it felt like the gun control and skills for Sheila's team was very strong. Like 10,000 days, they were great at overloading the site. They were overloading and trying to get that decrypt in, but it wasn't going to be the case. They got away with a few. Yes, we saw them go down, but the gun skills would made the difference at the very, very end.
Yeah, we saw them flood and use the guns to perfection. I think that CC was really impressive at times. Sheila stood up. Baron Peak, as you said, was one to watch. And I do want to add a caveat to that though. They did combine the gun skill with the utility usage. It wasn't just about winning their ones. They cleared space, like as you said, flashbangs were used a little bit more. Even though there wasn't a player getting flashed, it creates clarity for the attackers. If you flash that area, it gives you the confidence to swing around because you know that there's not going to be anybody there. So they used every tool in the bag to go ahead and then use the guns to get the victory.
Well, the victory means that Team Sheila is going to take the EMEA Invitational Championship number 2. This is number 2. The game has really developed since then. But what have they won? Let's remind ourselves, though, of the $6,750 prize pool. They're going to take the lion's share of the prize pool with $2,000 bagged in their back pocket. But 10,000 days is not a shy away. $1,500 Alex, is not a bad takeaway from a weekend's work.
I think it's the start of something big, to be honest. I think it's just the start. Not only for Sheila, but I think for the rest of the players as well. I think they've now realized how deep this game can really go, and once again, we've seen this develop throughout the tournament. I think when they originally started, and some of these players have already played in the first Invitational back when it was still Project Arc, I don't think they've realized, wait, not only are more agents getting at it, but we've learned so much in terms of strategy, utility usage, different agents and different combinations, that I think they're now just getting started. And I think ultimately this is why I'm looking forward to the next tournaments. I think that's gonna come to fruition as soon as we develop even more, have even more agents, and think that's gonna happen very soon.
Well, as the development of the game will happen, let's go back to back. Whippet, look, how did you find the EMEA stuff? Final thoughts, final words, final takeaway for the audience, though, on the final.
I was worried after we saw North America that EMEA might not be able to hold up strategy, but they learnt overnight. It felt like they've got better and better every single matchup, and it was a joy to watch. That final, that utility mixed with that gunplay, it was perfect. If you have, listen, if I wasn't hooked already, I'm hooked on this one. This game's got its claws in deep.
Well, I know you're hooked, Gibson. Look, who's your takeaway player and takeaway team? Look, I know you're going to be biased towards Sheila because they won, and that's what you do, mate. But what was your takeaway, though, for the finals? Do you prefer the best of threes, or do you want to go head-to-head with straight-up best of ones?
Whippet and I spoke about this, actually, whenever you guys were doing the desk earlier. The idea of having, like, best of threes, I think, is the way to go forward with this game, because the games are so short and sweet and punchy. And I think that going forward, best of threes are the solution, and a best of 5 final usually is more exciting than a 3-0 win, but you can take nothing away. Sheila's team dominated it on the day, and they deserved the win.
No, they did deserve the win. They deserve the lion's share of the prize pool. But you deserve to get yourself on Steam and make sure you download the game. Get onto Steam, search PUBG BLINDSPOT. Go to the demo, click the download link. Make sure you get yourself in. We'll be gaming a little bit later. And also, make sure you find the full game and go for the wishlist. That's where you're going to find the information. Let's obviously thank PUBG, obviously back in the game, putting all of this together and ensuring that we can get the opportunity to give you guys a bit of love for a very fast-paced action with PUBG. Let's thank, obviously, all the teams that have participated. This is the second Invitational. We expect there are going to be more. So if you want to be involved in playing, you got to download the game. You got to be involved in the community. Get in the Discord, get tweeting, and let all your friends and family know. Just want to get your family playing as well. Let's see a family 5 team up. We're going to end this one this evening, though. We'll be back a little bit later, though, for the NA Invitational. Whippet is slightly biased towards the NA. I still think the EMEAs have got the better talent, but we'll have to wait and see. So all you need to do now, get yourself a little coffee break. We'll see you a little bit later on this evening for the NA day number 2. Be the finals there. I'll see you guys later.